Igoro yense yamo yabono magoroba ritko neri ya Jumamosi kitariki ya 23 mutinyo gatano gatatu mwaka 2025 kero twekira sensemeye omubugani manyakaini na village park yorase wodi ya Keumbu ebunge ya Nyaribari chachime county ya Kisii enkwana ya bene ebitaseni byonsi bigokwana somonwa wekegusi ekeroto gukwana eyema seyemo n'umuwaziri uteneta magana ya Kisemi ime ya Kenya Julius Migos Ogamba Weire ango mwaka oyo mugesacho retwe ko irase gosegotenere wizara y'Ekisemi ime ya Kenya maonchoreria mange toro chagendeta kwenda kigwa se wizara eyo kurende hoigo chinsemo gosensemo yenda bange babeire bagukwandirana gusaba gukwana na goteba iguru ya challenges chigenderete kwenda kigwa se wizara y'Ekisemi ayandarakana ko bagosinayo maina ayandarakana ko bana ayo burimo nasenge ncheyo twabe getumurubiryo bugo chigukwana nerebene linda bekagukwanira omugusi bwensi asabeta elindo mugusi anyare kumanya yagenderete kwenda kigwa ase wizara y'Ekisemi ime ya Kenya boiga magana siasa nabe gakwenda kigwa bona totebi merobiro kyabe getasenge ncho kando no ko waziri w'Ekisemi ime ya Kenya nigaro mwana siasa naligetie kerogo kyobujumbe ebunge ya kitutu cha cheno tinga kicyamagega arenge running mate kero barenge kolgie kerogo kyobugavana noyo kabiri mu waziri ubireteri bagaliaye mu waziri Machogu senge inda toko tebe karanso ike bitaseni byonsi bikwa no munubweke gusino birabike mbaikiranetia senge ncho bagota sababu ambazo hatuwezi kuziepuka korende ime iyo morobiro yo etaya television nere represented Getembe television Getembe FM nere represented na boigo Kisii television nere represented asensemo yende Egesa FM nere represented Radio Vuna nere represented na bande kero bakoenderete guika sensemeye libagari abene liaruwe tuguchi asigeta seni kia Minto FM ekiogetanyara guikirana gaiga sengencho yokobeka matangazo y'umupira yogenderete kwenda kigwa matangazo y'ekigosori cya Chan korende nigotobwate blessings cyabo assesset nigonde nabaralia ba Minto mu waziri no ara senseme korende ntagete kororori bagochi sabaralia ba Minto narabarabwo baruri baga ncheni gonkoro kwa Job Ngaga korwa segeta seni gieta television sabo yana yo koriyo gaigange na nche akwa nere ningo na inde na kiago kwa na introduction ya
yakegema muri Competency Job Ngaga kureta TV nchenkoro kwa brand sagilisena ya mwase mkura segeta seni ya Kisii TV nubego chinga chabana kegema tuanyolole bagari ya kegema wisara sanomo waziri oteneta mani semegega sense ya Kenya mheshimiwa wakili Migos Ogamba ujya sama tukaberbo no beriga gukoreta rayani kimagega sarongura gusi abigo kurigereria emiroberi bere tatu kurasa serikali nene na gatimro beri yo namon kurira bagana yuwa gachwegeti kirige chinde gose strip ya sunika se constituency ya Bonchari county ya Kisii oigo akagenda ayemo aseyemo kuchkurigereria magana alingete university uchko gachwa chinsemo chia wanyurugena very special way to kubaliana marago ya rita seni naspino mtojo bati kirwate bato sangene masoboime maswali no spina moya tumogetra si platform chito chons tugetra eta TV astinse mojiricha online wetra Kisii TV amandegere musia sense media online platform chonsi abago wetra Getembe TV asti platform chons nabago magaito toroche tiwingi makigime krawa no yominto mose Joseph Mose neroteneta mangana production ya yaba kubwatra na kakasungara hot TV na wale gaigana nabago brand na bagono minto ali kila mmoja ako ndani. Asante sana ya masayemo wikaso omoli kominto yominto inok mukate
asegeka serikali wasense ya Kenya nigo yabeire nse yomurubiryo OA44 makoeta nigo makoyo wase yomurubiryo okutoka natwasa rasmi asomurubiryo OCBC gose computer based curriculum boigo asomakogocha kwa atori nanda sumuru yonde okoro kwa CBE eyeniki kigako gara korekana na kiara korekana ine abayuri kuna more kagabu na ki tarengere tina ke serikali to ya gani singa CBC bune ndata koba abonaiga ine nje bangete biya osekerengere kiya una yokuru wetera sichina machito chichi SMS cha CCTV chito na bego asechire chito amoro yo nguchirwe kera CBE re karabana bacho swase kerasi komi na ki bala chikoso karanso ike kumanyigo tanto enrollment butege kwera waziri no aregega koyeraniria onsi unaturara tukumuburi natukwamanyigwa gotokotoka aseki digital app chito chonsi na bayo ase television chito na bayo ase TV kigoro kwa mkate Enoch ase television ya gatembe na bayo gatembe FM karibu akartugo chaka job
Biamono oyo mkate Enoch boigo Brian saginera bna tikiro gukwana bono nigo tore set tore ready ase ogochia gukwanira na bene no mawaziri oterete chisemi me Kenya waziri Julius Migos ngakinera abantu bagatebirenga Migosi esegie kabasana bagatari gwenta ko Migos kolene nayo gwenta gotonekeria Migos use Migosi tigo tugore nimbya bono waziri asogo twara chingaki goikaransa sege kareke lindo kwanero mugusibwe nsi asabeta abantu abonsi abagusina bakurigeria chi television chonsi na bagotegerera chi radio station cheke gusikira sorongoro nasenge cyo waziri ndaisego kwali bagari tanga nikegima elindo kwani omurigereria nabo igwa bategereria asibale oire chingaki cyabene ko bakwani for the first time because we are doing this for the first time igesagwa cyo tukomo waziri libaganiria waziri.
Asante sana Job, asante sana Brian, asante sana Enoch. Ninde no moko sana kobana inuga igarero na ende ngireli bageri. Ukwani abantu bamintu bonse bagusi na gobatebinga na rodre buya uchaga iga ase station chito chagusi ukwana no mugusi elio nyare kwereria abantu baito bonse nyare correspond uchasa maswali mubwate wetera sensemo education challenges chirimoro chirororo mberese bune serikali nkegendrete gukora ku make sure ng'abana baito mbagendrete gosoma skuru Kenya ngima na gusiya ito igo ninde ready okore gasi yeye ninde ready kugamba nainu rero ninde ready gujibwa maswali nonsi elinde elio munyare kumanya ingitogendrete gukora kaitwa rure kaiture kaitugochia elinde totarere amo so ninde mogo sana ko baga igarero abanche bategereri tukwana nainwe na abakwaniri amaiga mange mbiamono
Nimono waziri unamo igore no waziri Julius Migos Ogamba wakili uyo obeira se ekeruge kase ngakinkagere to mwako kareko era waziri ninto chukwana mangana mange buna ba minto babiri bagukwana nto kwana mangana university funding model nto kwana mangana capitation na UR3 mangana abire kago kwanwa nga chibesa mara cha keigwe serikali atanga ya chibesa na wachiri buna chigwenete koba nto kwana mangana buna mkatate ba CBC guchigo chenche gocha CBE wana siasa na barona baraba makasenge nchorende bo niga tutegeta abantu baramanya mangana y'ichisemi nabo ge wizara y'ichisemi unegendrete ko enekia ase entunde ntanga ni waziri kwa bera abisi asige kakyo mwako yom ninki wakoro mu gusiara isako tabanga waziri gesaba ebintu byago kwana mayano bikorre. You can tell us some of the things wakorre for the period kwa bera ase wizara y'ichisemi.
Thank you Job. Una mumanyete ona chole tugo so ase kroe ko mutinyu 8 2024 ekara na chole tugo so obisi ona nyorete changamoto chungu nzima ase sector ya education egente getangani kyang welcome ti negento ye strike nje alengo cha takere ko bachanat strike cha kupet strike cha wasu strike cha kusu na kudhea koru primary secondary pake university paka abana be university mbategete kwenda strike so egente getangani na korete no kugamba ne union kugamba n'abarimu kugamba ne lecturer kuberesa nga ikiagera elie yarenge third term keresa abantu banatinga twesiko gende strike kuchu affect tura abana bali guchokora matemu ya form 4 abana bali gucha ku move ku grade 8 gucha grade 9 abana bali bande bakora matemu abo kuru class ekamo kwendekende tukanegotiate na borobwo paka tukaiwana obokongu babwate tukanyora a solution tukaprepare tuikorunga return to work formula baganjira na kwira negasi ekera bune serikali mtu nyorete solution ye problem ya babwate problem kwanza babwate nene nelinga CBA yabo konyora ya taniri amagana arengo tanya gutimizwa tuganjira na magana yatimizwe na nechibes chiare ngoro chiatakire bakanwe chindenke echinde spread koru 2024 uche miaka yendere mutwe ko make sure ngewese ineroro na ni magendere wakanwa problem ende babwate ne linga chi CBA chiabo collective bargaining agreements echiare ko negotiated at the end of their cycle yani kara miaka iliare nali bago cha negotiate gochimagega tali gochimutwe unono nanyorete CBA yabo ya 2017 to 2021 konyora njanya kwa completed ya 2021 to 2025 it had also not been completed so tukanjira nangango solve tole tukajisolve na tukaiwana nga uchimotwe CBAs echiko negotiated at the beginning of their cycle nkarwe directive nga CBA collective bargaining agreements cha balimu collective bargaining agreements each lecturer chibe negotiated at the beginning of their cycle na kimwarorera mutinyoria bargaining agreement CBA ya NAT ya KUPPET ya 2025 2029 mba negotiate in 2025 wakasign so that is something that we have achieved now ntumanye tenga chiwe sirenga chitakiro mwaka oyo irenga chitakire next year paka 2029 iye ko make it easy for serikali kubanga na go budget towards the future not backwards kiagera karamo ko negotiate backwards eko very difficult to get the money to pay so ini achievement ya mo job to akolire to anyorire ase ko ensure na balimu baito bari minire classroom ili abana baito banyora amasomo bunatakire kara twagenda ase sector ya university it had also the same problems bargaining agreement chabo chitanya go side pension funds chabo chitaiyo echinde chiasirite on the way problem cha promotions chabo chitaro koruburonge problems babwate chinde cha retirement age chitanya ko bas dealt with tukaikaranza na borobu kyara na banda basomo tugamba na borobu tukaiwana tugaanza kusolve problem ichi chabo chonse tukarosi return to work formula lakini arochirete university na moi konyora yakure kabisa konyora nyorobo kongu putanya kororekana abana babire university elia barenge gosoma emiaka 9 instead of we course ikwere miaka 6 yaire miaka 9 yare kwere miaka 3 yaire miaka 7 abana babire depressed abana konyora banziro commit suicide so ikato bidding ato negotiate enshuenga chi university cheito abantu batigera asekrasi so to can negotiate now nechi team echicheito tukaiwana nganonya going forward eto agree eto chemesa twagamba a problem era tokero une serikali to solve so we solved those issues we came up with a long term program yogo deal na mangana pension chabo we came up with the issues cha retirement age tukaya set abantu bande bakorita at 65 abantu 70 abantu 79 depending on the level of level of your professional career that you are in. Kuna one senior lecturer, professor in some universities, they are now retiring at 79. So we resourced and we sorted out the problem we use yarengoro eliyo lecturer chitigare a classroom. Tabo igo ekagera university again una moi bakanyara ko graduate abana bari konyora bakwamire university the first batch ikawa graduated in November 2024. The second batch wali barenga ba medicine konyara bakwamira abandi barenga almost 10 years bakagraduate mutinyu gatatu omwaka oyo iyagerete bono to make it possible abana wa apply ko ende university ya Moi abansi to admitted abana bansi ko admitted mutinyu oyo tare 20 on Wednesday this week babera admitted bagenderete ko endera okora amasomo so ikinegento kende to achieve it. In primary, in secondary schools, mwenyorete karatu asoete gasi problem ya lengoro ya domiciling of junior school in primary schools. A challenge ya lengoro timwende ya rote bangananga junior school baba domiciled as a senior school as a secondary. Lakini ekara serikali ya chite into power our president, His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, now he set up a task force, a presidential task force, which went throughout the country. Bakanyora submissions kurukira abantu bagateba, including parents, inga bategete junior school ever domiciled in primary schools. Now, a challenge kamanya kobanga in these primary schools, facilities in Chiyo, Chisa idne, awanaba, kuchakoberoro. So, Karanso etenyo the grade 8 in 2024, but the move to grade 9 in 2025 January. It is obviously August. A challenge in September. To confirm, because the Presidential Working Party, our Kenya batebetena, abana bakiara na wake, babe domiciled in primary schools. So we got to bidding a wikabono torosi classrooms. Chisa ine, awa grade 8 which move grade 9 in the primary schools. To gachane program after assessment, correct to kanyoranga, we require at least 16,000 classrooms. Grade 9 in grade 8 in grade 9 in the primary schools. So to kanyora chivesa for World Bank to gachane structure a strategy kwa check these classrooms in the shortest possible time. Ne structure to achitna erone linga to akora assessment to kanyora kere classroom will cost 1 million. So to gateva if a school requires 2 classrooms, to go to 2 million, bagacha classrooms we decentralized the procurement and the construction of those classrooms. So ikamenya kama possible krato those classrooms in October 2024. We managed to do the classrooms by March 2025. We had already done 18,000 classrooms. The 16,000 which the ministry was doing, and there is another 7,000 that Chiaro Koru in conjunction with CDF. So that we combined together by May this year, we had done 23,000 classrooms to cover the classroom requirements for grade 9. So in achievement, I want to manage it because by January, to admit our grade 8, grade 9, we had already done over 14,000 classrooms. So it was possible to admit by March, we had done 18,000. By May, we are already at 23,000, and we've continued to ensure facilities. That is what enabled a transition grade 8 to grade 9, a cover seamless, a classroom. That's another achievement we did. In that same October, in order for the transition to take place, we were required to do 9.9 million books, textbooks, because sheria wata kero mwana in the core subjects yao kara atokina wate a textbook agosomera. So we also managed to publish and distribute the 9.9 million books by December 15th of 2024, so that ekera bana bago January bagatoke ebitau biribya mbikole that mbiror. Another achievement, Job and Brian and my brother Mkate, is the exams. I came in and we were supposed to do the KCSE exams 2024. Kuna mumanyete amatuka mange usiinko nyakora guyarenge bicharanga amangana y'amatemu tali okorugoronge. In fact, if you recall, abantu bariko registration une inuga montoteba ku Nairobi ngonya gutageto mwana agende university notamwira skuru ene mwire gusi kera barikora gusinga gusinko ibara matemu unancho rega ngacha gusi mutinyu komi around October nkamit chi principal chitu cha gusi ngabatebye eliegere tokonye elietaliito tigatubwaterane abana baitu bakora matemu makosa ndita beso koraki tabasotoka abalimu bakanyuwera naende bagancha tukabwaterana abalimu chi principal, the teachers themselves, abantu ba interior ngao the team tukabwaterana eliekera matemu ali twakorete 2024 in Kisi malpractice ende nyakoraki njatoka ikagera matemu kera twayasoka in January amatemu agatoka aliara maya paka muntu ndite yo complaint thinga gusi this time ni nja ipita matem usama temwa usina wate di malpractice. Across the country, we managed to ensure that we have released results chiri abana wale entitled to. That is why Darakora Brian, that is why chiskuru nchire chitanya gutuma mwana uchiye university. In 2024, for the first time, there are schools chitometa abana uchiye university because ya matemu akoletu genuinely. So that's another achievement, and there are many more. I can go through so many others. But thank you.
serikali mwabatugutirira sana matana amasla yaba moraga ligeri bakatana no itu idisa kwa abantu na muraba tumedi waziri karwa tabanga ibintu biga mwabiso biri byonse does it mean mo biso dinero otara get your point ngama biro mwabikolere was there is a miscommunication from your side na bako kochasa.
And thank you for that. I remember I saw that the lady came and spoke. Amangana ya medical cover ya balimu igare handled na TSC. So there is a cover that TSC enters into the private insurer provider to provide medical services for the teachers. And the teachers are not at the same level, each one of them. So the structure is different. They are graduated. So I do not have the data or the facts that she was talking about. And remember also, we have SHA that has come in and other medical services that the government provides even under the Ministry of Manpower. So I don't know exactly what it is that she was complaining about. But I'm saying in our negotiations, with that, the issues raised at that point, we dealt with them and we said how they are supposed to be. For example, if it is medical cover, whatever, then we would say medical cover ever provided na TSC in the same way that they have been doing. So you know, for SMA yaito onya tuakore tuagambire tuakode bali wachi implement. Maybe she was talking about the implementation. So implementation might be having some challenges, but once you determine a challenge here or as implementation, so that is exactly what I was saying, Brian.
Was it one of the challenges there is no specific medical cover for them? She was questioning why we have medical cover when you why we not having medical cover.
And that's what now where Brian key into a character negotiating a movers and strike because of medical cover, medical cover will be provided. Provided, that is implementation, is an operational issue. Whether they are going to do it one, whether they are going to do it another one under SHA, whether they are going to do it as a joint venture, in a manner and implementation. So, and I can't answer specifically because I don't have the issue. The specific issue at the core is but teachers are entitled to medical cover. That is the global position. How it is done or how the TSC is implementing it, what is the challenge? Only challenge the next issue, another negotiation, then you deal with it on your operational. But it is there. Medical cover is available for the teacher. They are supposed to have. Yeah.
Thank you. Waziri, by this bado tukiwa tukiata kwa samara migro ya boro na baga bakuri gas which school nation university. Boro chebo umo secretary general go mara gete waso ose university academic staff union Constantine Wensonga. Na so tu wangana ku anare kwa ya kwa sana tabanga there is no way mote tenga chi professor chi school chi ko butu wose chi ganda ka wose something of that kind. Tumayeti waziri on this na.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, again, the CURE Professor Wesonga whatever is part of the solution to provide the say amangana yo ko ensure sustainability at university. Let me roll back, and I'll take again Moi as an example. a problem for example moye bwate they overemployed yani bakalika abantu baetaneti abana bali babonete ko support okay karabali ka bande kara twakora analysis tukanyoramba bwate overemployment y'abantu baetaneti 1300 Moi's payroll is at 450 million per month. But because they have overemployed. So one of the sustainability strategies is to slowly and progressively retrench those workers with payment, of course, under the retrenched, like that. So what he was talking about is that you can move us but by law, retrenchment is allowed because toko tuaraba antu tanyare kolin. Yani toko ndenga
excuse.
Lika bantel fumbiri lakini tubu atubezo koraki okubakana. So tari kobutua. It's called retrenchment. Okay. It's actually rationalization.
Yeah.
So that you are, for example, iga this land. Oranyora utakere kwa kulika abantu bako kunacho bunyansi maybe abantu babiri. Obako nya abantu babiri kire bako nacho bunyansi obo obali abantu 15. So iminete abantu 13 gastiyo bako karaki. Bali kire lakini gastiyo bako. Wano monde impatiko bagender. So you know kera wocha kwa nyore problem. You first solve the problem. The problem will you deal with it. Litangani. Oiso kuteba ngani no tete kumanyanga abantu bali getu was in 2000 karabali getu.
Yeah.
Wono ngisikwira nanga I'm spending 7 hours per day kumanyanga ingo bali gete instead of solving a problem. Tingo nyara solve that problem. Abantu bali getu and you know the history of these universities. You could tell. And university and all that, you know those things. But now that problem is what we are holding. It's like the national debt that we have. Yeah, debt abantu ba bore tichibese previously. Lakini wone kara watch office kwa nyori lideni nikolete diro. Ono kuikwa kaneli lideni. Uzo wikarasanga na abantu bali to kumanya kiba bore to sinkichi akolete. To move, a country will collapse. So that is what we are doing. What we are doing in the ministry. Again, to talk about the ministry, we are solving problem buna chiokaraki na chigocha. Buna kanyole problem kuikaransa ni timu yani tu aboli nga kitoko solve problem ye egere togendere which mutu. Mangana yago chumagega acha corona bantu bande go si institution chinde chikolete chiro.
Waziri gwatebire nga akaro mwagachire birasi ebi mwabibekire mwabayira abana abayige bitabo CBC computer based competence based competence tali gosoma gwoka oyo le likanika abalikanika oyo le pilot and abikutia bone bitabo byoka mwabayire competence gayera.
Yes, thank you for that question. I think competence based education means we combine both Maria academic theory ne talent yobwate. Not necessarily that's a completely different thing to in technical colleges and TVETs. You start from grade 6, 7, 8, na previously from grade 4, 5 and all that. Buno mwana kunya wasomale klasi nkororole nga yale talented towards. Buno mwana wakonya mwana obwate interest mono as music. Yeah. So you guide and you help that child to konyora yani grow a talent yeli kakendete kusoma. So that by the time ako chokole school esikotoka nga interest ya awere mono cha say music aba allowed kugendera ini ya music. That is why kerokuru grade 9 okwenda grade 10 we have 3 pathways.
Yeah.
We have STEM, which is science based. We have social sciences, they will go that line, and we have arts and sports, which is the third pathway.
Yes.
So that by the time mwana kurubono abago chora chi school grade 9 abago chora towards interest ili akorethek abwate other than the education. Remember 844 there was nothing like that computer based. 844 was you read, you do wasoma wakorirwa matemo esi gotoka ngari kulire guchokora matemo you had a stomach ache kwa ruaret wokogwa mangana aya korire aherere gabo lakini competence based even tebyo gosoma grade 8 grade 7 8 and 9 ebi bwata 40%.
Okay.
So by the time you got assessment you get grade 10 you have already 40%, you've been assessed 40%. Grade 10 kero matemo awon wa chokora in November you got 60%, meaning that you must mawa according to 7 8 and 9 tell west lakini before in other 844 whatever you did in class nchare go count ndio count na matemo oka. So competence based is wider and takes into account many other things, so that you can gosoma te toka nga kwa renge just one line ili kwe na kikyagera kada ba koleta assessment banyo na 844 ni bwate disadvantages to abantu bali bwate certain talents. So kada wano to go move to these pathways. That is why in this October togocha ko build 1,600 labs. 1,600 labs to ensure nga abana bakoenda STEM eskuru ile bakogenda nebwate chi lab chisaine barabugo soma science. So we are providing the facilities. That's why we are doing academies, these sports academies chibwate stadiums, so that abantu bote tokora sports bato kampa bwate the facilities. That is why if you listen to our speech and request in Sagana on Saturday when we were there with the president, we asked that because one to answer utwara a pathway ya arts, creative arts and sports, to be allowed kuagacha a National Academy of Arts and Music, so that abana wale wacho kutoka ba kora batagete kwenda maybe a university lakini batagete ko major in music or something bagende academy egere they are able to continue ensuring a talent yawe commercialized. So these pathways have widened. They have widened the chances, the opportunities of our children instead of limiting them to one side. That's what competency-based is about. So the books that we gave is accordance to the subjects that they were doing.
Thank you, Ekaro, for correct my job again. Ase ebinte biga, una bono chiskuru chinyinge. Geto na renda ase ebinte binge bikorgu na abana baito. Besi bete echiro. Bako na kwanda kwa usachi chiro gaiga. Tindara una bono ase chiskuru chiri ase CBC. Oserende na naba ibodi bandu batanga. Ndoranyora facilities cyumwana nyoto batebe imiroro. Of course ngoja bali babu sa chiro chiga iga baratore endo kavatore news ande no koni chinyeni chiri konyorori besibete babingi na bangina bakoni no kuruga bali at least chindagira chiri gweta bali ba complain nga chingo ga chiatori kuruga na kiyakoba, lakini the science now part of it because we need these labs uchibona sababu chikanda they are going to national schools chibwata chilabo already, lakini chibona cha junior secondary we've not seen those labs like doing Chikoak.
Yeah, what I'm again talking about no ensure we mapped the country.
Yes.
So chiskuru nchire konyara chitabwate those labs, chitabwate those facilities. We've done virtual labs. We have done mobile labs by the equipment, the SEPU, our school equipment program. They do mobile labs chiacha into those schools. And we have also combined labs, for example, junior school kera, senior school kera, next, onye lab keroro, abana na wako endoro wako raki basoma. But moving to now, grade 10, where we are going to have pure STEM, we are providing those labs. It's 1,600 labs to chukokora. Mapping ya korwa igatoka chiskuru chirichiro abana wako chakwenda chitabu at those labs, and we are doing them from this October and they'll be ready in December. So by January kala abana wako ende school etoke mbakole baror in Kisii and Nyamira Out of the 1,600 labs, we'll be doing 47. In Kisii and Nyamira, we have mapped to school, they'll have 47 of them being done. And I forgot to tell you that out of the many classrooms that were done, the 23,000, many others were done in our schools here to make sure now facilities. So what is happening is this, Mkate.
Yes.
We are in a transition because these reforms which talk about CBC started in 2012. That's when they started doing this program. The first batch, I was started in 2017, I was started grade 1. I want in grade 9 today. So it has been there, and we are still in the transition because it was transition university in 2029. So we are still in the middle, and as we are doing, we are navigating and steadying the boat. Yeah, steadying the boat so that because it's a program to arosia we get to those teething problems as you move on. We steady the boat so that we ensure are disadvantaged in any way. So we are doing everything possible. Now telling Aki, maybe 20, let's say 2024. If somebody told you scrap this CBC, scrap this program, but replace it naki. A program we can and challenge keroro to clean so that we make it better. Because we are still in the middle of it as we are moving. Transition in 2029, university, 3 years, 3 a program we want to have from end to end, which now will be ready for review.
Is this the reason as to why university nyingi entertain to Amaden? And what have you done from where you sit koena kia university cha Amaden ko yarari rinde chinyara ko bachikoran bono kawaide kyara chinyinge nchi abakripol bako machikoyunga wana buna moyi kwa for example konya bata birengo sie kwere chinde gaiganga banafunzi babeira abange telikonyara kwe manage. What have you done from where you sit koena kia Amaden ya search university akaire inde chinyara kwegendereria kawaida?
So as university twa tubuate public universities chire 43. Tratogo cha serikali yerete office. Ya toge university ange 21. Ichiarenge almost insolvent. They were even supposed to close. I think in Madeni. Na Madeni ayachete because of many factors. One factor nelinga a system ya lego tumeka yoko bachi bese chiarege cha capitation kurunga differentiated unit cost. Serikali yatagere ko achi university a total of 80% of the capitation. Lakini mbali kuikia that 80%. Ebale koru, in fact the last year but one, they gave 38% of the 80% that should have been given. So you can see already a gap ya kodrik ya beiroro. The other thing is this overemployment that I talked about. Universities were not employing in accordance ekere university eroro ya employ 70% of staff should be academic and 30% non-academic or support staff. In most of the universities, 70% non-academic and 30% academic. It's opposite. Again, to governance. There has been a problem of governance as okonyora, misuse of resources, misapplication of resources. Okonyora abantu bali kutumia as A in A in accordance to what. So it's a multiplicity of issues, of problems that led into this problem of debts. That is why the Presidential Working Party analyzed that problem. Realizing and talk na DUC university with the new model is student centered. A new model here, student-centered job, Brian and Mkate, is this, that a student hakane chiwestiria kunyara according to their means. Yani ribaga togwakane rutwensi chiwestire ngaine. Omwana bo boda boda wakane chiwese maybe 20,000. Omwana we minister 20,000. Omwana job 20,000. Omwana we mwalimu 20,000. Lakini mapato ito are different. So it's a model yenya nilio dhangu mwana we minister ta wakaneru 20,000 no mwana we boda boda neraka neru 20,000 na serikali. So tigo mwana we boda boda akaneru chibese nyingi mono na serikali e minister yakane chibese chia chinyingi serikali yakane chinkasari, so that we can bring some equity and some equality where people can carry their weight. So the student-centered model, the principle is nga omwana bw'omuntu mutaka otagete kwende university ta miss ko ende university asinga chibese cha serikali chabere spread across chakanire paka abantu batabone twakane. Anyway, that is the principle. So whatever we do as a ministry, the first thing we ask omwana oyo serikali chibese ringewena tukumwakanira at the level ya need yaye egera ta misi ko ende school ta misi ko ende university. So we have worked on the means testing instrument to manyiro identify nga oyo no mwana we minister chibesa abone to wakanune nechi oyo no mwana bo CEO abone to wakana chibesa gete no mwana bo mule akana chibesa gete, so that abantu bakana chibesa chiri bakonyara egere mwana undi we statuka tali university asinginjo tabwatebe besa. That's one thing we have done. So
konyo tubata mangara ngete chibans bandi entanga baka band 5 but ukrabona ngechi report chabere chikone kwa sama tukabango bakatanga system h band way it's kind of mwanyetika mwatika dedero no mwachire system ende wate a scale of 1 to 100 we 100 uli umuntu umutakapi oyika 1 no muntu obdo mwaziri bunaye omwana bo mwaziri bunaye mweshimwa make us understand ukrabona nga model keko tumeka sama mangara ngete mangara ngete university
information is correct. What we have done, Brian, is to expand the variables CMTI. Egera to identify omonte need yaye. Omonte ni yaye. This manage band inchiro. Band inchiro. Lakini it's just stretched, so that kero mwana akanechbe siria bwana tako ko kunyara wakana so ta miss no you wait up to that point. Tukakora bintu bibere Brian, tukakora analysis tukanyora the cost of programs the actual to analyze tonyore the cost of programs is actual and relevant. That's why recently we were able to reduce the cost of programs by between 15% and 40%. What it means is this: depending on the program, onye program yale cost 100,000. If we reduced it by 15%, one will cost 85,000. Onye yale cost 100,000, onye to reduce it by 40%, it will cost 60,000 to reduce it. So it is much more affordable for many people to be able to pay. But after that reduction, when I talk about the MTI, to whatever, omwana bo mutaka nero wakane runesa gari chibes nyingemon. Omwana bo mutaka, I'll give you extremes so that you understand where we are. Omwana bo mutaka, ya wakane runesa gari 90% of the cost of the program, whichever program it is. 90% of onye program kere 100,000, mwana mutaka wakaneru 90%, which is 90,000. A family akanerenga 10,000. So your interest should not be only on the 10,000. Kere serikali wakanere the rest. Omwana bo monto ole kachiri. Serikali eko mwakanera 30%. The rest nero wakaraki wakada the 70%. So you see where we are going with this, that the person who needs the support most gets the highest support. Now, because of the different programs, and then call the two extremes, the cheapest program, the person who needs the highest support necessary will pay 5,800. The cheapest program in the universities, the person who needs the highest support is 10%, is 5,800. It's what the most expensive program, he'll pay 75,000. So the system has worked in a way that now it is affordable. They have gone to school and they'll be able to pay. It will create sustainability as a university. University we get I mean, much more because abantu economies of scale. Abantu abangengwaka nabale na dropouts bono tiri uchikobo una yakabei. In fact, as we speak, university chegore it's about I think about 5. Chegore this week, just the Monday, it's in the Wednesday, pakalero. As we speak, abana ba were admitted in the universities first years. As of today, about get 29,000 and something, almost 30,000. And the report now telling that they are paying their fees smoothly. Meaning, even now with all that system that we have put in place, system is it is working.
Waziri, on the same.
Yes.
Effective as of 1st September. Does it mean our budget university revised the fee structure about make as per
if you recall, my statement was to be ready on 15th of August, which was Friday last week. And the data was ready on that date. Nairobi University was the first one to open on Monday, meaning they only had 2 days over the weekend. That's why there was a bit of confusion on Monday in Nairobi University. Then they sat the whole of Monday, they put the figures in the portals because this thing, Brian, is individual. You can as a portal yao, or don't look left or right. We have opened a portal in the help portal website as we appeal so that we solve your problem there. It is individual. It's not a common problem. So that's why university in fact, there has not been any appeal to the portal as we speak. Help. Number 2, help is releasing money to these universities, but it is not releasing money across the board. Because university, for example, in October, we wait until by October, maybe 2-3 days, upkeep. So because they are opening between now, the last university will be opening in October. But what I want to emphasize, it is individual. You go to your portal, we check. And you know the way we did the MTI, we cross-checked. We cross-checked na KRA, we cross-checked na NTSA, we cross-checked na Nyensha, so that ekarango check danyora job egari yako gende Mercedes. Lakini tata yetu waka na school fees kera ata yetabe abu mulin. So daboto ko bole yaki ngaki akal Quran egari. So we are able to cross-check. Number 2, ko check tora abana kayu mwana ari gosob. Job chibesere ngari waka na uchase school way. Go check tole job abana mbale ngabwate as a university agosob. So that you can understand the expenditures how is he spreading them, so that we can now tell what he is able to pay. It is very scientific. Lakini you appeal there, we look at it. If we doubt, we have now teams changao to check. engenjeri kwirende bakora Safaricom bakora karabata itoko scholarship. They come and check whether you are actually entitled. Bakonyora wati nyumba ili na chikoro isatu bate
asikyo waziri ekero tokogendra mwanchi umurigereria na motegereria kero twenda tayo nae naboko tuma agwetera ase Facebook cheito digital gose tembe TV gose chi app chitu chonsi pic chiredi chonsi asore TV chonsi asore na nabo tukonyanyora tunyara correspond to the same umo waziri ndaito ongere sabno mwaka mbegete dajite nsengo tolecha ekonda mangana na eta iskukari ngaya go mwana ninche akobeka ero obeka rutibas nate nchino mwana wo mwasi umwana onyarebere oego gatuka ngabana inu bechi waziri nganjire toko kore brand tokora korwa abantu bechi waziri na bakoegwa funding yerigoro ababande batabwati omwana otebangere funding yere toerese kuranje nekena mangana nyoye talikena toerese buno muntu uri gali ogotore cha gukore konda umwana wa naite tuchi university
mbia mono mkata serizwali na kinara goteberinga ki system yetu begete eto tayo kumanyanga omwana bo mwaziri tabasa gutukanera kwa guchubesi chinyinge omwana bo murimi etoketali kwa guchubesi yale entitled to chiere echo na ki system yekuru ekorusia so that our main focus telinga omwana oli otakere konyole support ya serikali iri iguru onyorire noli bo muwaziri otakere konyola support ya serikali erense kyara isen ombose mama mwabona nyare wakana onyorire iri ayere nse egerebe yatigara iri iguru ababa bale banse babale mina abantu bande bakora banyora. That is what that system is supposed to do. Now mtuma yetenga isigotoko mwana bo muwaziri onyore chibes nyinge maybe muwaziri yoyo nyatari monto orata gotabanga njini nyare wakana tali gocho wadi meeting umwana wayo no muwaziri na bagutiga igo ngati umwana yabere gurugwe lakini concentration yetu no mwana oli otanyare go wakana so na kitoko creativity appeal portal togotabanga onye kwaro rirenga chibes to akubikire chiri guru to kunyara wakana kyara no muntu bwa mapatanse ore iwo mwana uri akwirana ase portal iri ali akore the appeal. There is a form abe korro the reasons why, then we assess to assess it. Sometimes we review it, sometimes we don't. So sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't succeed, where we find maybe it is not true. Lakini we do the very best to make sure mwana takomisi skuru asengenjo the level of their need. I think, gentlemen, what I want you to understand is that the focus of the government is this person who can't afford to pay so that they are not disadvantaged. And we are doing everything possible to reduce the errors. Everything possible to make sure Antonio error, yani montole ubwenete okonyo ta konye ke kere error ya wait. So we put that appeal and you can appeal 2-3 times until we get it right. That's what we are doing.
Waziri asetaro gatigati yabaremi ikanyora
umurimi oyo mogoteba ngabwata abana chibarongo baga apply oyo magaso band 2 oyo dagaso band 5 pale abo peasant farmer anga kiyo muntu no yakoeresa.
That was before new review that we did. Now we're talking those are the errors to alkurusi. Lakini wono tiangu eresa how it can happen. How it could happen is that abanaba abakogenda ko apply in the system. The application is the system. You know, you put in data. It is the information you put in that directs you to your level. So if one child goes and says in the portal, mwana yo matebe obuli mubwito buri cheka iko. No yo natebe obuli mubwito buri cheka ibere. Inechi sarebare lakini information babekirine ni ngao depending inkiba babeka. So oyo wecheka ikomi because it is higher income ego chiko komeki income ya bebenga ngao no liyo cheka ibere everything out. That's why those errors were happening. Abande barakwenda cyber go feel the numbers are many. Liba omuntu liwe cyber akobeka the data y'umwana oyocha uchenchi litalyo yoka. So ilieta lya job rero lakini data ero ne amigos. So mwana osoka kabwat kare living ngao because of that error. So when they realize that karaba achite tukaanza we realize that mistake tukatuma abantu huduma centers. Totenga onye tukunyara tulikuwa understand kwa genda huduma center officers wetu mbaroro bakonya ku put in the data, the information. They'll ask you questions. Abande mbaro for example na nyole mwana kugenda maybe no musani oya banya nga kibono ndabe kyo ngokora ntebe ngantu chisugulibere to bwate usendu ne ko teba ngantu to bwate ngombe and all that to make the wrong information for those things yareta the wrong data.
Bankara sebalia andegati baranga ria se program because abe konyareka no montage babwate gali babwate lakini akari ase poto ria everything entongere muntu buno yo abakorera gusedi chikara ire runa ya bekirwa ase ministry
Bono uyu
umeta elio kwirane mwate bankwanda muri mu counter check mwana oyo sokiri no muri mi kwa makuru semofat bana ne jibarongo bae oyo sokiri ande ba sokiri the ministry nengo counter what counter check here.
No, what we do, what I said is that where we ekere kesi very, you know, kere matatizo.
Yes.
Usumunta insist more. That's when we'll say, can we really go and check? Because information to buate, maybe 20 acres or something. Lakini you're insisting here chire ibere. Na information to buate ko KTDA litali audiro nini rikoroki. So that's the time to ate bano agenda mo check sampling. It's not like we have to go and check kere again. In fact, even in 2024, when this funding model, yeah, what so many challenges. When we did the analysis, the errors were at 15%.
Oh, yes.
They were not that much. And when we did the analysis, only about 7 or 8% were corrected. This year, as I said, we have started admitting what challenges we are going to have in the next 1 month or 2 months is when now we'll know what it is and we'll resolve. And to last year, so that we reduce the errors this year. So we expanded the variables, we expanded the questions, and we expanded the counter checking and the cross checking institutions. We expanded them so that we can get as information as correct as possible or close as possible to, but we know there are still going to be errors. If those errors come, we'll solve them. But our intention is continue improving it, perfect. So
samangana by the way kwara already chi reports nyinga sana especially kura sorango letora gusi of course chi region change by equally what challenges but already chi reports nyinga ngamba abanafunzi bali batara ende school bakaboniga mimi mnako previous nini academic years batara yenda bado reports cha all over if the system nabago if the yamangana alinge funding model is affordable which asa we nabago kere student centered. What we seeing claims nyinga bado cha wanafunzi chi reports chiko korunga wanafunzi abeka bado mbata getobo konye wanafunzi abeka bado mbara join school wanafunzi abeka government is doing nothing about it.
I can give you an example of I think it was something on Citizen 2 or 3 days ago of Omwanore University Akisi or some things. I think he's in 4th year. The child who is in 4th year is not using the funding model yet. Is on DUC. Kera we are on the 3rd year. Now we are 3rd year. So any problem really arengo ya previously of that old system. Lakini wone kera back over interviewed, they are attaching it to the new funding model, which is wrong. That information is also incorrect. And that's why I've told you, and I can't stop saying it. I'm saying if there's a student, if there's anything that the government is going to do and is going to ensure it is done, onyo mwana karo uro mutaka eserekali bwenete konya, the government will do it. I want you to understand that the government will support that child, that student, to make sure nare is school. If there was an error, now kumubeka in the wrong position was come resources chiri higher atanyare wakana, it will be corrected. That's, you know, serikali te muetete venga wano te kuweke system yugo shikara bana abataka isiku. That's not the basis or the principle for the student centered model. Ikero kutu one. Mwana tayo no karaba kwa highlight oiso ku analyze okonyoru mwana oteba nga na etire inga nyete ko gende school goseri rubeli aneli achire lakini ndo chinga tiko chakonyara wakara wakana. They are not saying only in the wrong band, but even that 5,000 na wakonyoru mundu na wono I have people who have visited mbantebi mwana atakero wakana 11,000 in their band, 11,000 lakini people at that 11,000. So that is something, because university education tell free. It's not free, you have to pay something. But the fact thing kwa iru band get kwa utanyare wakana goso no I know the band 1 year. I am in band 1, I'm supposed to work on 11,000 lakini tingonya because what? That's a different story from saying that the government has put you in a place or in a position you tanyare go fund the education. And I will tell you something. I was in Pwani University the other day. Abana wa Pwani University bachire amo. But in this same pawaka na chiwese and all that, whatever, ntuma ete university education tell free. Ntuma ete na wana baroro, our friends, no nyenchiri 5,000. Batanyaro koraki, batanyaro wakana. So they raised 500,000. A university can raise another 500,000. Waka create a bursary as students yabo. Aho tangi eye etugo chokutumia okonya abana bali pamintu batanyarego wakana no nyenchirichire. They are rightfully in the right place and they can't pay. Then we pay for them. So when we went there, we said in September we'll go there 9 to amend chiwe no nyen 10 million egeraba tu endowment fund ya yabo. Yani what I'm trying to kukweleza nkelinga ki university education tell free buna secondary and primary education. That under the Article 53 as serikali constitution, it is only basic education here free. Lakini university education you pay. So the government has come up with a program. Go cover loan, yeah. Go cover in scholarship. Cover loan ya 30%. The scholarship ya ego differ ego answer go 60%, 50%, 40%, and 30% depending anga yokorda kayore. So that we support you. So already as serikali nera wenga no nyetiri free na kitu create a fund to support ya wana ko endera go study in the university. But even then, even when you are in the right place, transport. I've received calls in Muranga University, they don't have transport. We are not even talking about fees. They don't have transport. So it is there. Those challenges are there. But that does not mean to remove the responsibility. That responsibility will remain. But we are making it possible. That's why we reduced the cost of programs, so that we can make this thing a little bit affordable, so that as much as we can.
Kidogo tazwishi hapa nafasi ya MTC, which system are they using? Is the same system, or is the same funding model about make ama namna gani?
The challenge abana MTC, you know, they fall under the Ministry of Health, and therefore they are not directly under the Ministry of Education. But as a government, we have ensured nga chibe essential chikuru Ministry of Health chitomu help, so that they be funded from help. Care help never the capacity to run the system. So that is what is happening. So we get resources from help depending, maybe $1 billion depending on how much it is. It's the same system. Then the ministry, the help funds them or uses their system. So they are already in that system. We also want to move it to TTCs, so that they have the support they need from government.
There was a directive ya ruta wisi yao igoro ya abarimu abanene be skuru cye secondary koyana na certificates go cyase aboro kigwa bali andagati abayiburi basinyure gwakana chibesa ba retain this certificate for some time. Some have complied. Abarimu abanene bandi b'ekikuru chine mbali gokoramo. What is the ministry doing? Koenekia oyo taliko kuigwa rendo ogochikoko nga kia taliko kuiru getambo kerukende gyonse.
The directive through the ministry certificate is based on law. Ere anchored lichiko. Under the Kenya National Examinations Act 2013, Section 10, I think Section 10 subsection 1B, it says you should not retain a certificate yo mwana. That's the basis of that circular. Abange wa comply. Natua ireta abange wa comply. Abande kero kuba boli batara comply wa nga certificate chira ige chinde cha 1975. Banyane mbanya wocha koraki mbanya wocha kuya. Akini onyo mwalimu karoro utararwe a certificate ya abana uritainete omwana ese korete complaint nga certificate ya ne retained no mwalimu because after that directive ebago chokugenda courtini is not even a disciplinary action because you are violating the law, so we will just take them to court and charge them. That's what is going to happen, but I have not received so far any student telling me ngampitara receive kwerende aye. But also we have asked our county directors of education to ensure from each school banyol returns the reasons for retention so that we can move forward from there. So that was substantially complied, and I think it is already working because admitted, they got their result slips immediately and things like that.
Mwiburi oyomo okororigiretie ta television garikire message out my daughter has been denied fully clearance from Moi Girls Nairobi as they demand 30k before they clear her. Igo ngayako ira malalamisha
To the CDE, to the County Director of Education, and it will be acted on based depending on what is the arrangement, because Moi Girls, you can't know what clearance they are talking about, but if it is the certificate, you can't hold the certificate because of the school fees. Number two, tobwati as principals, mbabwati any agreement no mwana wakana school fees. Agreement here between the school and the parent. So certificate old ti bwati litali mwana ere certificate muntu mungao. That's why we'll easily take them to court and charge them, because you are holding a certificate on an agreement the
opportunity yo kwagenda linche the innocent ndango yakana school fees.
That is why that law was passed, so that now you should just enter into an agreement ne parent
Pia mono ekero to goikabo nekero tanrate maojiana ya masemo sinkwana ya masemo na mwaziri bichisemime yensi yetu ya Kenya Muska Julius Migos Ogamba na nimanda tuko yategera korwa chiredi chao chonsi na se TV chao chonsi chiko kwa nasomo no bwekebusi kerigalia rero gotoko ya bwata onsi kolengana buna otegete to yakwane nagakora totebe urike wetera asibitandao yaito ye TV osire diyo aso otegerera tukorwa sosonche tukorwa enda somotimo komoke tokoirana kwenda tukorwa toskana nedake.
Karibu nande kurwasa umutimoko egara tunyara kugendera na mahojiano ya masemo usinkwane iga mwaziri tubwe chisemi na twagotebia nabo kwanda kulika SMS ase namba iyo ye TV yao usirede yao brand sagine toenda sensemende
yakigima ho manchu bole tero na sentune gabro mitom kata tikere wa tabana go yo minto job ba ni go tore live ya masemo go tra TV na go tra TV go tra Getembe TV na go chire dicho yonsi chikora wanegesa FM Kisi FM na go radio vuna ni wanyero chega igana kila mtu wika oyo minto kila mtu olega iga tunashukuru sana chinga kechiga tokogenda masemo wika somo waziri amangana manga yana kiwe sana wikirabo ni gachi principal chinyinge cyarire sana mangana lingete capitation wa cyasi chisukuru twararira bange mbara no last time wika bakagenda bakabunga mapema sana timanye ti andake go ikarabo ni gabone sinanste waziri chi principal chiga after chia twaro mochando yonsi pia after chia rire ndwara no nyuma waziri bolitenere tamangana ye ni boge ga sense yake mheshimiwa John Badi na bego nayo monyene kidogo mwarorekana gutuma nase chingwa na amangana lingete funding go just amangana lingete capitation go just school amangana lingete ine mwanafunzi amanta konyara 22,000 usabanta konyara 16,000 mwaziri tutake sana tumanyia yo na bego tumanyina ki ine amadini yaga ama korale kuro ale kuro magaga gaiga what happens to just school chiga karibu wase.
Thank you, Brian. First, the bena umwaziri we Chibesa Treasury John Badi and myself as Minister for Education nkwana chito njikola thiki ncheta ini useri tukeli nkwana chito ncha itanete. What John Badi was saying is this: a policy ya serikali primary school obakwayo capitation ya 1,540, junior school obakonyora 15,000 and something, senior school which is secondary obakonyora 22,244, something like that. That is the government policy. That is the rate of capitation ewenete cover released. Lakini ya saying incho of 100% transition ya abana which is school no na waba wa pesa chibe sometimes chigo tomu nchirigo ika chiri 22,240. That is what John Badi was saying. Tale go teba ngo reduce chibe ese ku 22,000 which is 16. Iga tebe tenga so far chibe to release iri chiri 16,900. Talinga to reduce linga to change policy. The policy still remains senior school 22,240, and that's what we work every day. Toko work kerali toko towards inga tochiki no nyobo kongwe chiwe so koletheki wororo.
Now what happens as you tigacha tigera mwarule 16,000 what happens to change go tigara so just
go where sad. So what happens like now capitation a year 22,000 na 15,000 na 1,500 ewena tukuru school January term 1 50%, term 2 30%, term 3 20%. Bauna depending on na chibese nga kichikoruewo kwanyora maybe nchiriko ikachibese chichitakere ko karaki koruewa ikara chitaigeti diden diatoka liatigaira sesku ase school eine conversation bono togo chagotwara tumenya ngaki ngakitogo chagokara mwana ya madeni ya aitire ali amakoro lakini bune nago tebi ekarana nyoriri muchando ore ase ministry gozale ase school. I try to solve a problem elimbu atalitanga litangani ne problem ya no noiga no tema ko suguma ngachi school at least chinyore the amount iliere as a policy ya 22,000 ya 15,000 ya 1,500 inero muchando no monene ngoti no ponoiga ngenda to suguma chuma ine nale ngas treasury twakore to mukutano kapate tusugume chibese chitorero sinjikoleki nchike 22,000 on next week ngo release tole capitation ya third term torole ngacho karaki chigo cha we request for it torole ngachigo. But remember a system ya serikali ya once from budgeting parliament to requisition yagenda parliament yaetia yagenda treasury it like that. So chibese ono chikoro unchiri chitiri kuru ase budget kuru parliament paka which treasury uchagali. So bono ige twende tugusukumanga ekara tugucha twabaire namba ya abana toy budget iri ito ya 22,000. That's my target igina kinge ndongenda gusuguma because ekara utari ko ba ebese iri bwenete kara toli konyoreria 22 ngo short tune chitraba abana konyora tura abana bono mbali konyora maybe chibese chitakire konyora chisukuru chanyora chance kutwara boko. So we are aware of the problem and we are doing something about it. Lakini yero muchando all national all based on the economy ngabese nchikola thiki njisa ini kere basket ile chibese tubwate kiro muntu nata chibese kurwe bakorigere priority nga irenga toko ach county irenga toko aba egere kere system ngakore egendre. That is why we have had these problems, but with the progressively na toko nyagosukume economy expand a problem ingujire ko solved. That's what we are pushing towards.
Rugabo abange bego batwarale even rumors tingo nganchire nchiro ki rumors a little bit batano kraboni gaba nafunzi pale batali asama ngarengete Kenya education management information system ya Kenya na igo na gekwiranda ke ni ministry etari konyara go account for all students. Is it karukolire ke gankebe anda ke getango ko garanga chibas chake o school?
Partly there's partly it is true, but it is not the major thing. Ekera mukoira abana muko apply abana which treasure you use the number here as NEMIS. NEMIS is what we have been using previously, lakini yatwalire ngo twalira matatizo sometimes yakonyora abana maybe abana balenge maybe 300 bono yoro kibale go 280 or sometimes if it shows abana bali abake it can also show abana baligo. You see, so it's not the exact issue. A challenge here nga a budget they say, but a problem we have now commissioned the new system we Kenya Education Information Management System KEMIS it is much more robust I don't know how to put it. Robust so that all the information ere school ya abana yechibese ya procurement ya kirigento in that system ekere utegete ko manyanga ingenda that education sector, that system will tell you, and to create in a way that it counterchecks itself, so that onye January tuwata abana totebe 12 million, in May we cannot have 11 million or we cannot have 13 million. So it should be able to counter check and tell you problem for us to correct it at that point. If we had 12 million children, you can't publish it without 9 million was every 13 million. So it is going to link to each other so that we make decisions based on information, based on evidence, based on data. Onye kubwata wana 12 million, to procure endagera ya wana 13 million, for example. We will know a problem nero. So we link this system across so that we are able to see everything that is happening when it is happening. And it will help us. Na onyeneji basari. Tabako nyoru mwana onyorire basari kuru CDF, onyorire basari kuru county, onyorire basari kuru isiko. Then there is nowhere you can't tell because there is no system. The system is going to pick up the mwana onyorire basari from these particular places. Because school these resources, so the next school benefit. Was a promotion yeyo mwalimu onyore promotion isato goze inye goze isano mwalimu uri ondatara atara anyora. So a system is going to work for us to make sure that we are very fair across the board, and it is a robust system. It's a bit wide, it's a bit deep, it is a system toroche erato konya as a sector will clean up.
Waziri mbiamona soko ndagotwerera igo na muno manyete tari ntokwerera no murigiriria uri skali urabo mongi no mogotu urabe ebigori byonsi na sengenche yundi naruraga ni address issue ya mangana ekero turasa mangana ye chibesa chimanyekane na remedial ninki kibwento okorekana gose inchira serichi kuna ndonye chiraro muigori na bwenete gochiakana gose ninki abwento okora
chibese chikoro ku remedial chibese chikoro ku some levies chikoba parents they are not there in the law. Ministry tebwati provisioning awiko akanichi westiere medial osechi levigete osegete nkeyo again to kero nkeri for example aba iboli baratebe ngambatete kwa gache dom yabo osimbatete kugore bus yabo bakora mukutano aba iboli bonse in the annual general meeting baetinga intuna aba iboli ntotegete kugorera abana baiteba bus kero muiboli natakere wakana shilingi 500 bamenya ko request kuchase ministry nga ntotegete kugore bus and twaitiri as a resolution of the AGM intutweka abanyene ntotegete kugore bus toeri baga toruchibesichi shilingi 500 go shilingi 1000 gochie skuru kugore bus. It is specific. It has to be done now. Parents won't spin annual general meeting. The minutes are done. They are signed. County director of education would be there. Bamenya ko request kuru ministry nga toe idhini, toe consent ine legal. Any other thing that anybody is doing, even into bia, bitai as a ministry, be allowed.
Waziri on the same. Eye twate tukogore bus. Abana batore 1,400. Why should that bus be bought for 10 years? Kira abana bagocho mwako gocha. Paru chiru sato chaitu. Mwako liyo gocha, chiru sato chaitu chie bus. Mwako gocha for 10 years. Because 5 years na beka iko
exaggerating. Rebono mukato meta abu we in the specific case.
Yes.
Ekera tinkumanya ngakibali igete in the minutes.
Yes.
The minutes will be clear. E bus tutakora isuzu ekubugori abantu amizini igere chibese chinganiga insurance yaye ngani nganiga nechibese chikara divided across echiganiga gose abana gose ntokuchikora we are buying it mwaka oyom gose to contribute for 2 years gose for 3 years, it depends. So it has to be specific. You go to a specific case to manya we address correctly. But what I'm saying is that where they have agreed to do something specific, then they answer what they are supposed to pay, then they request for the approval. Sometimes we don't give the approval, sometimes we give the approval, depending on to analyze the situation. For example, na bora nyole no nyaba etiti trocha balimba abana balinge parents balinge say 1,000. No nyaba etiti onyora ba parents banjira nde balinge 501. You know. So it is almost 50-50. Abakora igente kinkeli universal. Yeah, kili universal. So our 500 ningo chukumigubali na bakora no will not ikenturigo chukwa kwa lao. Lakini asabara 100% was 98% na bakora abangen na bote to correct. So it depends each case. With the fact kibwate.
Bagenda CGMs onyora abandi baetiri ogocha konyonga nayo tegete kurutama na sky ganga.
You are very right. Yes. Parents must, parents must be involved in the activities just school.
Yes.
In fact, under CBE, the involvement of parents telling we can have a correctly into one or the other. Even at the parent, even in Kumana Correro. Yeah, in Caso Marero was in Kiakora telling her you have to do everything. Is you asking Clermo, I got to involved as a activities. Chavat. Do not require to be a community service. We are training a whole person. A community Nero is a community service, a subject. The Babusa was Waganda and what is happening. Was Waganda say if there's a dairy farm across Waganda is an activity to introduce you mwana go to the normal life. I go to interact with the as okay. So this is why CBE is comprehensive. We are calling it a whole person, a 360 person.
Bado your colleague CS Mheshimiwa Mbadi equally na suggest na kwa bunge bandi baga suggest not that we are seeing all these problems ingeko gara tuara consolidated fund ya banafunzi bonsi pi ewe ko rwasi nseme chigacha ngafu yoro yo bisimo women rep rwasi county basari se yora se county mo governor rwasi mangana ngete kitikalia CDF so that nalimo as a ministry ndo tuara chi kapi chigai and is it possible such a thing happen na namna gani?
You know, Brian, anything is possible. In public participation is possible. But let me explain something. Chipesa chiko gende county. Ichiko gende under the constitution. Ichire provided fund the constitution mugawo olia nga chipesa chichire county. Chipesa chichire county national government tebu at capacity yo kubatenga kibagaraki na kibagutumia because ne chiabo. Chipesa chira se CDF na chiro chichire constitutional. So what I'm saying is a conversation here can be had. Ekara ya beira had abantu bamenya wanchira nanga etutakire bono kubika chipesa chonsi yamo chibe from one kitty air education yabe free or education abantu bonse banya access to it and tumanyire ngachire. But it is not to imposition on counties nga chibesa ichugo se kuba bunge nga chibesa just CDF. It is a conversation that needs to be had. I get to solve the problem that, and it is a good conversation. Ya answer kwenye ukwana tole, and we're in the middle of amending the law. So if that works, it's a good thing. For example, this year, the control of budget atebya county governments akabatenga teli jukumu yabo kwa abana chibasari. Akabatebi, you cannot do that. Ega bidding between the Ministry of Education and county governments, we entered into a framework agreement yokoba authority kwa kanira abana chibasari on behalf of the ministry. Yani kababuna tuwa chinguru bakana. So we signed that framework agreement. Ikawa ene bukurushi pesa chibasari wakanira abana because the children are there, they needed to be supported. So we did it. In other words, when a conversation is had, nabotokonyora inchira yoko get the correct law in place to ensure achieve a chance speech, but you cannot impose. I'll tell you what happened. Last year, Karabana bakora matemu, realizing that the future is that amatemu ya KCSE, ekero mwana achite, maybe the child has lost a parent. Okole subject, eli tukolirie kerabu ata usaru alete or something, owe subject ya yam. Obu ata chi C onyore D ose E. Ya mungusa ko chance oira nansi takonyara kwa no ne university because of that one subject, which I wait asing in chiyobo kungwa kare teki abuat. Ngateba tigatoko ngaiti sakula ngateba tigatore te mid-year exam. So that you mwana oyo wait subject ye akore mid-year exam in June, July, egera September unaona abati pare oso university asoe na borobu. Tacha kuripiti umwaka umugi macha koso with the other side. Ndakora. A spirited Kenya nyakaenda koti, akaruna akuru, akaja koti gagusi, akaiwe court order, we are fighting it in court. Because you realizing your life are affected because of one subject and because of not of their own making. And it can be corrected. And there's nothing wrong with the problem. So we cannot do things because we'll be stopped. So we are fighting around it. Public participation, but TVET Act allows us to give exams and give even repeat exams and supplementary exams and all that, which is our responsibility. So we are fighting that to see prejudice. I did not see any so those are some of the things to correct. Is there a way to correct it? For example, Brian, you know, sometimes back, kali school. School and yet they can come back and do the exams and move on with their life. That changed. So it is possible to change even the benefit as opposed to being rigid. There is nobody who is benefiting from that rigidity. So those are the things that we are talking about, and that conversation is good. Joint school funds, whether they are bursaries, presidential, private sector, and that also will work through a system when we are chemists, because we are going to have an entry of everything that is being done under the sector into that space. so bukai ngarwerete ngoko feed abana bale ngago feed aralia kwale wapi, you know, all that information needs to be known. So it up to now temenyekanete, for example, ng'abantu bale ngabere Kenya bako abana chindaga okwenda uzinoma be kwanyoro muntu narore section gitukoragiria abantu kwenda kwale kwanyoro naroro serikali nkoragirira aba 2.6 bali in asal areas, lakini wono combined tubwati the data. So we are trying to ensure nga in the Ministry of Education tutware clean data tumenye tekerege to make a decision, you're informed na that data. For example, again, Brian, teachers, you know karokubuli TSC abalimu barenga batararikwa abakoenda ase data yabo bata ku 1963 twalikira abalimu 900,000 barenga tuligete bale 450,000 barusa nani bata abalimu batarikiri bale maybe 300,000 or 400,000, lakini konyororo monto ubwate TSC number, lakini ucheta katika walimu akaenda gukora lo lakini tachite ko delete TSC number ya yai. So we need to get all this information egera tumenya nga for sure abalimu balenga bakaretheki batarariko egera to make decision nga kitogo linabro to akora analysis. For example, to anyore in Kenya etutagita abalimu 35,000 every year, so that nonekara to nga to admit bona abana guchigokora education, to admit abana very close to 35,000 ndo kubeka education tuwabeka abana 120,000, then we need only 35,000 abandi bakwamase bakora bagochi. We need to be able to make policy decisions chire based on data and chire based on information. So this is what we want to do with chemists, so that going forward we look at our sector. Onye tutageta banta bange ba agriculture, we ensure nga to let the course agriculture to admit abana bangu choro, and if they do not want to join, we can even ensure that we are giving them some motivation, you know, so that they can be able to take that course. Onye na doctors tutakire abangi, we should have now a system where we tilt the balance and we ensure we are admitting more of them, and to make the facilities in the universities doctors to the right number, so that we don't produce graduates whose jobs we do not have or do not need, or the market doesn't need. So we need to study what the market needs and then develop programs across the board that produces the people to fit into those which are market theory. So that it's not just lakini kosi yandeta yako kumere toko kora otanga mo etana ko the kosi bono nonde gaiga. So we have to do some affirmative action for the courses that we know we need, either in agriculture, in veterinary, in tourism, in medicine, yeah. And the analysis from which sector, from which area, so that we can also control admissions of the new ones who are coming there. Because there's no point to have 300,000-400,000 graduates in one sector. Itabu at capacity graduated. That is why information and data is so important. So
now that chemistry data chaba wanafunzi na everybody. How about we krabon ngando no report your auditor general last year chiskuru njoro charinge ghost schools. We got non-existent schools ikabeka ruchivesa chikatuma ruchivesa and everything. Now that we have chemistry ya wanafunzi, does it mean ndugu atiaro ngendo koro kidata ya chiskuru how does it ekuikabaka serikali atu moja so just ghost schools?
If you recall, that audit was a 4-year audit, but I think it is from the last 4 years. And when they did it, when they did it, so that they can respond to some of those issues. You see, I said this: if a school does not exist, that is a criminal offense. Then it is so easy to determine whether that school exists and who is responsible for that money. School ito gutuma chibesa guchi bank account ye school. Money is sent to a bank account ye school. Now, onye bank account kere KCB bosonga. Ilitandiro maybe Nyambera primary school maybe it doesn't exist. Lakini chibesa chiru ikachiru suguno monto a human being. Kuikaga ndaso kwirende kuikasa ini chi document ya kuikachiru reflect ya se computer ye signatories. Ande karawa ande wing ibichayo no yakalata. So the day okorusia onye Tuesday buna lero chitagirigete na bokora kana Migos okora ogendaga de roses. So ngateba we need this list. We send it to the DCI. They start from there. They don't even need to start from the schools. Because once you arrest that person, motebia kuiripake skuru asakartek asir. Onyeta ukorokia skuru asir, chikot no chikoletek no chiregai. So it is easy to resolve that problem. You see in any system, tokumis bakora ngutuka bakorek baro. Lakini wikutu alenjera yoko babuate kero bokongu bakorek wabe. So it is doable. And that is exactly what I said in Parliament. Once we have that list, we'll send it to DCI to Batebi, investigate. Because in Tuntubu capacity, you could investigate those schools. It's a criminal offense, ever investigated with the institutions still charged with the investigation, and we'll give the information from our end. Because when you talk to me, the also, there are footprints. So now and all that. Again, we work from there, and then we connect. Then you will get what the cartel is.
For the case of Bomet High School, ya Tenuek. What is the report about that?
That is a simple one. That one is straightforward. When President Yalenk Bomet, aba bowling at Bomet High School, to a school or Bomet High School. Tenuek High School, appointed a mentor. Bomet High School ever in charge of starting that school. That's how the money was sent to the NUEC for the construction and the starting of that school. So it's not a ghost school. The money was not sent to a ghost school. It was sent to start the school. And the minutes are there, everything is there, so they will start working on that. Maybe after a year they can go back and ask you to make the 50 million. So it's not it was something that was misunderstood. Yeah, but otherwise, that is normal. It is done. For example, even under TVET, Kisi National Polytechnic, mentor ya Kiamwasi. So when Kiamwasi was being started, Kisi National Polytechnic for them to pay because it does not exist. So it doesn't have tebuati board, tebuati signatories, tebuati. So what a mentor institution, the construction of the new school. That's exactly what's happening. It's allowed.
Biamono waziri Julius Migos Ogamba gotorenge nchengabu iyo karo togendrete go soa sensemo yagatete krondo chera tigere chideka ngesa tuiga chirage chinsa isatu chabano mahoro bakoena kiabono niko turachiko turange chideka 50 gokoro murobiro yo twabere tukurigeria mangana mange aye ministry mangana ye education asotenrete bona sense me eye ndagete tuirane nkanga gitokwirana litangani nimanyete chimessage chinyinge cyari kiru ase bitaseni abantu bagendrete kurigeria abantu bagendrete ko tegerera nimanyete representatives which station ye chimbare ga abande mbandetera chimessage igerinde to chisoma sobwango ande tugikachinga kichi waziri ndaga ni utwale karamke aturaga ni twasoma ni 10 iga kwaro wachaka go chi address wango yemasemo kandi matine chinyinge kuba gotegererwa sichi station wetani nyeche television nabo igo chinde nyeche chi radio ne chikwesho nabo chirabe chinyinge kurende waziri ekero tugo chigoso sense maybe bitoraso in the next few minutes bono tuira neka muligeri natake kumanya waziri Julius Migos Ogamba mugusi ndirende mugusi okorwa mirobiri kyabwate go chaso mugusi matabona bakebe ngalinde na internet tubwate koruga igoro gongoro chi polytechnic kyabo Kisi National Polytechnic kuna gwa kwanire nchirara ro mirobiri kyobwate yo ku improve chi university kyabonyoro ya chire mirobiri kyerara ro konye konye chakia sobwango mono and so many other things chiskuru ntoro chaba waziri na docket education okoro is one of the dockets chaba kusiba sasa nini nero kiagara ya tora waziri abange sana since independence we kabono including the immediate former Professor Ngeri nalenga se wizari eyo akonyo nkana alenga roro bono gusipoka abantu bago judging yekero waziri Migosi alengo skuru gete ga improve skuru gete ga so status gete national polytechnic ga kiwango gete biro biri kyo bwate na ende biro biko arakore for the last about 2-3 or rather one year kwa bere abisi.
Thank you. The first and foremost means education. Policy to kubeka at the ministry level chigo affect the whole country bado ngo affect chireguzi usi. For example, ekarana to reduce school fees here university by 15% and 40%, aba kuzina baromungo benefit wale in that is not something keko koru kando na iga kilio ko na baromungo benefit wale chise muchons amangana ya totebe construction of the classrooms nagotebi they were not just done in the national government, it was also done in Kisii. For example, and I want to give you some statistics even to Biagusiga specifically. Ekaratu agacha ebirasi 23,000 junior school classrooms. Aigagusiye to agacha 827 of them. 567 in Kisii and 254 in Nyamira. That is almost 1 billion. Out of the 11 billion that we were spending in the whole country, 1 billion was spent in Kisii. Number 2, since independence, Kisii County has had only 2 national schools. Kisii School and Nyabururu. This year, I was able to upgrade, or we were able to upgrade 6 other schools in Kisii County. Cardinal Tunga High School, Rio Kindo Boys, Nduru Boys, Kireli Girls, Itiwo Girls, na Ichuni Girls. How many? 6. But since independence, we only had 2. Now in Kisii County, we have 8. That is something na bumonda thanga kere karokobeke school yaba national chi benefit ni chinyinge chokora chigocha wanango bari kurusiko. You are given more expanded income, you are given more infrastructure, you are given more teachers. There's an advantage. So it is a good thing that we managed to do that. In Nyamira County, previously from 1963, we also had only 2 national schools. That's Nyambalia Boys and Soronga Girls. This year, we added 3. That's Kebirigo Boys, Nyansiongo Boys, and Kebabe Girls, making them 5. So now we have 5 plus 8. Yeah, from 4, we have now 13. That is a very serious improvement milestone for this particular place called Usiyeito. Out of the 1,600 labs that we are going to construct, 47 are going to be in this region, 23 in Kisii and 14 in Nyamira. Remember, it is 1,600 out of the 47 counties, but we are doing 47. In Kisii, you can do the math. So that is something that we are also working on. Laboratory 1,600 tocha ulikorbeka, 47 ni tocha ukorika korugusi, 23 koru Kisii na chinde balance ikoru Nyamira. Na chiri chinde nateba chiskuru to upgrade ligochi national schools. Ebina biro twakoreki twakorere. Akana so agali university. Onanyora ntubwati vice chancellors. Na manyire na sugumire twalikire babere kumenta wona na bali babere konya bakoretheki baro baikire bana. Ningendrete go pima ndoka. GDVC na beka bekire. Igara aje council na bekira abanda bangisa na council university in that sector. Ikegere kero kubabeka na bugwakire mundesimi kwa motebi nkonyaraba abana. Ali gorase help nere ko distribute chi kwerende ngakora kabe ko mugusi ko kwerende
Azika waziri kwa
ando
hiyo
mete
kusudi mbona waziri bakaza kumanyakina kibako kujaji
so big wala ka ko bodo kuzi ka but anyway we have tried to make sure abantu betu bakoreki babikirwa se position baranyare gokonya abantu ekera unabona abana abaji challenges chikoba nere ngotobinga abana abu barigereri ngakyogo okubasoti ubarigereri ngakyakuba akobanga the higher education loans board to abikira omonto mintoro and many other places chisiyo tobwate twabikira abantu chiboard cha polytechnics nabikire abagosi batari bake egera in just this short time mwakoyo nakorereke the list is quite long ndogendere tukurwanderera abasio bande ndogendere tukurwanderera n'abavisi bande banyore ndogendere tukurwanderera chairman kugenda ilinda abantu bitu banyore kera utaspread ati bakonyanga kero mundana Nairobi nkonyara umuntu none ko my bus fare airane gocho but what is important is even the biospi ituranyara ko bikorekera turi serikali na kiagera nkateba litwalenge state house kera ntwalienchera tugaanza the early this year ngarangiria leaders bonds bibagusi na professionals tukaendo mugobandi gete Nairobi tukikarasa tukagamba tukubora ninga gusinga kitokora to chiamo egerekera tukurwandira ama tusabe bintu twasabe bintu bwangu tuigugwa tukarosia a strategic plan ya 7 years from this year to 2032 from this year to when 2032 mumbo atabi ekera ina arigeri ngateba iga government si chigo change talibo lakini onye mubu ati program ye ino yo nkore gasi na bibintu bigusiriranchira ekeri system ya change omuntu ndo mwachire mwanya orakeri yakorere kiebiru tugateba toro si strategic plan ya 7 years until 2032 toyebeke university of Kisii togoteba nga onye na mache ebintu tote bikoru nebi onye ne education nebi onye ne chipara nechi egere umuntu naruo bisi onye gotoete kumanyanga ngikonyora tu asugumira asige kire ministry gete kwagende university ya se depository Professor Ogechi will tell you that to abeka kawe head of that egere to mwaligererio ronga kaitwa tigirete why
namaro yo mugusi ya kiama
tari ya kiama this is a development purely development yo mugusi and I'll tell you why ekara sondu murio yale kwa gachu mbata kiri kwa gache dam magwawa nero yatakiri ko ena na mache kuchisondu miru sondu miru yakagache gakorwa development no ere gali magwawa ikebwa bono muntu yo maitenga magwawa njalenga ase program ya sondu miru lakini onye ndito bate depository astoko enda twaligereri nabwo rwenda otonyore no yakorete no ere mekubo iga gosen nakyakoru mekubo ere machoke. There's a big water project there. Ya wena to koruna Hungary for the last 13 years. Yatoke kwa mete somewhere. Una tuache teiga nkagama no mumroli wa match tukaire gente cabinet gaitiwa. Match abro na chakora na chagachu. Lakini ge kiebetu kiera for a long time munte yo manyitinga mekubo program neroro ebwene thoko. So nkarangeria abantu abetu kiera to somete tokateba. Tuiso konyore ase library ita sto kubeke bintu hivi so that Migos na aruo yacha to ngana ngosukuma arenge skuru gete enyore bese yarikwa samwe ikegere gekwebwe kera changes chakore chabeire because of that tukanjana nanga tungocha tole amo leaders tochamo n'abantu baitu bonse egere tokore development na kiaki tuteke kera tu amite tukaenda state house tare 15 on challenge yes on 15th Twitch the state house kerumonto abantu boda former leaders current leaders champions aba MCA you know tukatoka tole gari tukateba ngo saba tole bintu ge tukasabe bintu biri twari konyara ko bya bwangu tukasabe university ya Nyamira University ya Nyamira yabete touted kun 2016 nali abwene tukwa kwa gacho 2016 ikakwama 2023 kara yakwa murwa ikaba allocated chibesa 500 million ya gacho lakini itarachiko kwa ena chi problem ikabanga ngaya korake
yekwa gacho
yeko mwako yuka financial year kara ya chibesa chire chigosire ranche ekara na chole tu tarehe 9 I was sworn in on 9th of August tarehe 12 tukachane president kia Bonyoru kara tuacha twale gocho koloncha mangana ya kuwait project issue ya Nyamira University ka raised president kateba tige university begali and challenges chinde chikakora chikacha ekara chiacha twacha ko ekora bone kara twale ngali tukasabanga bado ndothe university ya Nyamira akateba nkuba hature so atutumite tuchi n'abantu ba defense atenga bono tiga abantu ba jeshi bakoreki bakora agatwamuru nakitwachirite aramisi twarenge Nyamira gari koleta abantu ba jeshi koboroki esite na koba esite ngabono so in the next maybe 1 month contract dango soere yanze kwa gacho ini achievement ya moto akoreki imagine ko 2016 ekwamete ne project ya Nyamira University ke 3.9 billion yani no kwa gacha wuka abantu bacho gukore gasigari abantu bakoreta match bagina baragiria abantu bakora gari chi materials ni no chikugurukuru gari so we will do it is going to be done tukasaba airstrip tukateba ntu kwa gacha airstrip sigetwe already commissioned because there is somebody was abantu bari batagete airport yende kuchukwa gacha guse asigita ngao Nyamira or something like that karaba enda kucheck ya Nyamira wakanyona ne tente can't work atanga kuira tuli nyangusu kuira tuli iga musana noga ugaasa bono sunikateyo sirongateyo bono tukaiya tukataba tuira niliye tunyako tumia tukoriye bibinde anyege gotoka
motomende
inga bune gente que tuño guarda nga 2027 ndu tolanga karato ikero iya tundezo nkera ati na banyo no tokorete hotule lakini ikitu bwata bono tugutu karato yesuneka togendera gatutebi agatume chairman gocha nakikere twole ngoro igoroma be chairman ya KEA bono bairane bacho batume technical team bayigore yanse korosi housing affordable housing kisi movement ndubwatu maremo in fact we are the #1 candidate ya affordable housing chinyomba toire chiri chinke to because buli mumbu akoretheke iri toire nyanchuga ali chiri chinyomba go 500 chi county chinde okonyora baire 5000 4000 they needed the land one of the pieces of land itakiri ne prison yebale town igani to teba tigatu move prison nangu nyanturago kyaro buli mumbu ro buli 600 acres tubaye 50 acres igai go bole 14 acres tubaye 50 acres igali twagache housing igai getown na prison ya gachora turago two things will happen ti project jiren ibere tukoyacha housing igai into konyora a benefit na ari rogora tukuira twagache prison ire modern twagache paka chipara chikogendo twagache school ya abantu ba staff bana babo twagache clinic so we develop that place again is an extension is a new project we'll benefit from it that's what we were doing again yesterday twalenge no mugavana simbarati as a unit because CBE to what 3 pathways one of them nearly creative sports creative arts and sports which requires sports facilities so tukasaba twagacherwe a stadium ire modern iga bosongo as a SKE tukanjirana will get $1 billion or $1.5 billion twagacherwe stadium iri gari alafu ASK ebe moved gochi yatieko as a 13 acres chikolethek chire to SK or it's much larger so we move over 3-4 acres aliba chutwara 13 so again that's development here and development there so out of that meeting tukasabane pale kuru Kaplong ego trimbuka tukote eko dual carriageway ya then to try eko dual carriageway because it may take time na watu ko expa Soko expand gerega letu ali na chita ini very togendera tukunya sort that thing. He agreed. One technical teams ngoja kutumbale bakore gasi iyo. So because we went as a united Gusii, we were able to get those things. So that tekara to tabanga ki etora say serikali is not for nothing that we are there. There is something that we are seeing. Because this year, 2025, 26, the budget is 4 trillion, 4.2. Next year is another 4 trillion. Recurrent year was in 60% and all. We have about 2 trillion ibere cha development. Lakini wao nga move kwenye those 2 trillion because ntobwate program ya 2027. Ne serikali itu atagitenga to. Where are we looking for this government? Bora tu aliko ligitonyore. Tokonyore benefit abantu bali ikwe. Yeah, chipara chirosigwe. Buna wano these constituencies, a lot of roads are being done. I can read for you. I have a program here. Many roads have been lined up. Chiko cha kwagachu. Chi marketing kwagachu chire. Chi bridge kwagachu une interchange ile daraja mbili, it is being done. So that we can benefit from the government. So that we ekarto yani toko tabia bantu wetu nga tubwatisi egera tonyore these things, and you have to go to the table. We come to ende karto rangiri toko ende to tebanga na toko nyoro opportunity o tengo mugambi tutagete ko da auto we binde bi komi wateba go bande ista usingo bande bitano ibinde to tukwa no juma at least wanyorege we can, and it is going to be done. So I'm encouraged with how His Excellency the President is supporting us. Even in education, he has supported us fully. Yeah, everything we ask for, he'll tell us this is how we want to handle. How to support, guidance, and all that. Egara want to benefit. Can you imagine how would I have managed to upgrade the school in 1 year? Ekara we have been having only 2 from 1963, and it's not like tindiko judgment. Bro, what thing ministry into do. I'm not judging, but it is there to see. What the,
Thank you.
Waziri wade unoge ntoko sanga magana yo emasebo. Waziri nganjiri kura numega kidogo tu magana lingete help. Actually the government yana setting what kind help takriban 9.4 billion kule 9.7 wikrawani getara chitara bwatu. What is the status? Karando cha wanafunzi pale bakubole maswali sana akeka chipa chetu cha libo ikonda kimute tabanye school. Yes.
Inakueleza hiyo. Chipa stoko release is for the schools by Guiri. Wano konyaro mwana okopoli nga uchire kuligeria poto leae taranyora bese lakini university gocha kuiguru mutinyiko oikomi. That is the discrepancy. So aba bakwigura bono because also
Chawe cha soke.
chibezo metito kora in faces igana chiro chinjikola thiki nchiyo. So we do this aba bakwenda. We have a program. It is actually progressed. It is tied to the opening. It's tied to the opening. Onye naro ro tara or by Guero Taranyora, sometimes it's because of information yarwete incorrect, or say a batch was each bank. There's a way the money is sent in batches to their account. So, but those are problems that can be resolved. But 9.7 has been released, and we made sure that the upkeep has been released because Mbako and the school bata what. Yeah.
Key agendas cho mkato tarabu na konja kwenda. One of the key agendas cho mheshimiwa the president mheshimiwa Daktari William Samoei Ruto chaninga marangi the TVET chikos cho moka and everything. We krabo niga TVET ndo cha maswa nara kuruga mangalingi the TVET ya ngo igura chire next week chinde kobo no krabo niga mbabu atiboro kya isa ina sti skuru chiri. Chiro cho what is the status yechi TVET na bego VTC agency ya Kenya?
Now, amana TVET are very progressive. It's a very good pillar at the heart of this government and the heart of the president. When Kenya Kwanza came into power in 2022, we had 297,000 trainees in all the TVETs in Kenya. How many? 297,000. Normally, we've been taking to university 20% of the students who graduate to KCSE. Last year we were the highest. We did 28%. Meaning, last year, for example, about 965,000. 28% Pakende University. Meaning about 700,000 students budget bali qualified kwa university ngabo bana kogenda KMTC gose TVETs so ekero konyora university bwata bana 1 million TVET bwata 297 na 1 million is equivalent to 28%, 297 is equivalent to 70%. There was a misnomer. The thing was upside down. So we came up with a program to increase enrollment. Yeah, bana. So from 2022 to 2024, when I came to the office, they were at 375,000. They had added something like 80,000. So nkameke program yoko raise abana to 2 million. President Gantevi raised this number to 2 million. We started working with the Ngao, the chiefs, Chibarasa, and all that. We've been able to move that number by June this year to 700,000. 700,000. What does that really mean? We can enter to. So because of the numbers, we requested to allow Kolika 5,500. He approved a year. What is we are working on now? A budget. We need about 1.2 billion. Kolika our trainees have 5,500. Again, I was in Treasury on Tuesday. I was pushing for that 1.2 so that we can now have trainees to support those students, because we've done a lot in the TVET sector. We have even changed and increased the programs. We have made to a series such that onyo go to go mason koleya magenoka you go to TVET also magenari for a month or certification, a micro certification for mason ogende. If you need to come home plastering, you can come back, plaster. We have done modular, yeah, so that you can come in and out, so that you can fit. A college, kore mason, negesongo togo somi, umwako mugima, to you are not earning. So to change ringa, can you come in work or maybe no mondo that go etuki. You know, you just come in. You cannot be a classroom going for a year. Yeah. So we have changed it to a research policy. RPL, recognition of prior learning. Abantu baroko nyale mechanic miasan lakini tabuati karatasi. Wono ne karata kiriko kuri kusamwe go se kwa gasi go se promotion ta kwa kirata buati karatasi. Wona go che college itu to test to mo certificate kurukunga recognition of prior learning also abono the formal economy. To a retire into kurukunga dual training. Dual training ne linga omwana go soma 50% of the time in classroom, 50% yogenda se industry. So nye buno nye Coca-Cola or something industry lirega also onye food and beverages ogenda industry also onye gari somera totebe hospitality also make us half the time ogenda hotel gete and we are training everybody now. No na bantu bakulisi chombe no na bao kama we are training them no na chia house managers we are training them so that they are learning ngakia wake pass ngakia you know ngakita kutumia match. We are training everybody so that now you have quality, because a market give us people who can do the jobs for us, so that the skills, what are those skills? So we are doing in that space. Now in Kisii, you know, we have a government policy in each constituency etuare a TVET. In Kisii there are all the constituencies of TVETs except Ponchari na Umachoge Borabu. So we are working on that, and we want to ensure that maybe in the course of this year, but by next year to those colleges, because again of the numbers, it is important. TVET. Nyamira, we elevated it. It is now a national polytechnic. So we have Kisii National Polytechnic, and we have Nyamira National Polytechnic. So we are doing something in that space. And I was there yesterday. I found they have very good, very many machines. I advised them on what they have to do. For what machine block. You know, there is a way that we can do this thing to continue to benefit from it. Machines, we are pushing China Korea machines to distribute. Another thing that I'm doing, government institutions, you find chigali chikwete chire packed. You find chimotorbike chikwete chire packed. Okona nyagitari kwanyora machine chikwete chire con. So I have written a paper, cabinet paper, ngosawanga to be allowed as the Ministry of Education under the TVET to distribute in our institutions those so that they use them. Maybe institution the mechanics, maybe gari AM. So we are doing something in that space to ensure our people are benefited from it. And as we do national policies, they also trickle down to Kisi. Yeah, they are not isolated. They benefit. But we are also working on even equipment to watch.
Waziri tiga kubuli likongwa kebon.
Yes.
Ono egas.
Yes.
Ekero abana bono tukere mayaka tumago set tukure. Ono egas bi. Lejichi.
Our viewers, our listeners, Sarah Mange, will run out of time.
CBC igebwate abanafunzi 40 ose 400 abalimu batatu balimu abakanya bangosomi kuna abalimu balenga banki. What of that? Liya kabiri inalili liya boli ngorengero nanda kiriya semena linyi amaruba abana abajumbe baka kale koena na gali na kibono gyachegeka.
Good. Yeah. Now under CBC,
yes,
what has happened is because we were in the process to Alengiyoko transition, there are teachers who are graduated typically trained in CBE. So they are teaching and they have STEM and all that.
yes.
But we are also having a program, tool to be able to teach CBE students. In fact, under this month, August, the retooling was taking place across the board. The government gave 950 million for retooling, and it's been being done from last year, so that now you have enough teachers as we continue increasing. As you know, in the last 18 months, the government employed 76,000 teachers. This coming quarter to December, we are going to employ another 24,000. These 24,000 will largely be science, commit the STEM requirement to bring the number to 100,000.
Kenya kwanza abali kitu mwako yiga mbarabo oriented bamachiko bari tool.
No. Some of the ones that are being done are already trained. They are current graduates in STEM. No. I was in Baringo, TTC. Kabaranet, TTC, we graduated about 300. These 300 are CBC ready. You understand? They are very CBC ready. But tools, they will be retooled in December so that they are ready to go in January. Currently, they are being retooled as we are talking. There's an amount of money that was given to ensure that retooling is taking place. Over and above that, in junior school, we have enough teachers. In fact, I met some principals yesterday. They told me this. They have 9,000 JSC students, and they have 300 teachers. Now, when you divide 9,000 by 300, what do you get? You get 1 to 30. You get 30. And that means the ratio of teacher to student is 1 to 30. When the international requirement is 1 to 35, which means we are in between. We are within the numbers. What needs to be done is the realignments, the reallocations, the moving around of teachers so that we have enough teachers in each school. That is the position. Your second question of whatever. Remember, and I can't give you an answer to that question. Yes. I came in August when this process was going on. Yes. So but what I know, TSC does the employment of teachers. It's their mandate, the employment of of teachers, and they do advertise. Like now, they've advertised for the 20,000 or the 24,000.
24,000.
People are supposed to apply. They are shortlisted, and then they are employed. So that issue of Marube Koenanu, I can't answer some. You know, my background is low. I can't answer. I have no facts to it. I have no data. I can't answer to it. You'll have to ask that specific person who wrote maybe Kurwa Maru, Umuvolinga Kia Kurwa Maru.
te bakubatana nabo iguna Brian Mutonga na kakasungura ebinto amabona mangale ga job so wetera just a few nara kunga kindly may waziri address the issue of those schools that missed capitation with name is Era Masaba South Inova School to 197 learners, of which only 2 learners reflected kindly. That's one of the questions, Job.
Uri waziri omurubiri abwatere na CS Interior Murkomena so gotango goichura of kiosks seeing wines and spirits near institutions of learning. There are bars near schools and even was clubs, you know, yondo boliria nandi lyokoranga ndi boliri sana n'abantu abange oyuga bolia seta gaiga kurwa Kisio TV page yabondo chenga. Ask the CS about Kitutu Chache Technical and Vocational College, which has stalled since 2017 till now. The contractor is on site here. The institution has trainees. What are the plans for such institutions? Ina rabere na algeri mokorua seta yelinde korua se Kisi Hot TV. Beti mkate nilira korua se page ya Gatembe.
KMTC. Jabete launch tika ya chit. Lia kabiri mwanafunzi naro ore Nairobi University atabanga government mbegete number 3. You went to work on 44, lakini yale gago sub 66. You mean ngana number 4 abikiri.
Thank you. Nara kuboli wetra Kisi TV kubonga kiamwasi contract ya chete gasike skuru ekagana ne bunga motka amaka etire eyo waziri na okay. Abigora ba naro kuruka mwanafunzi ateba akorte cases last year kurase skuru ya St James Yonsalia abantu ko join na masine muri university ko no ikraboni iga tara ego results slip ya kuru skuru nganonye directive ya ruru abantu ko join on 28 masine muri university ko bono tabuga tibinto bitakeire.
Inendelea Mheshimiwa Waziri, during Uhuru regime, NHIF for students in secondary was fully paid by the government. Does the current government have such plans with SHA to help students in secondary schools?
Okay.
Thank you.
So quickly, the missing capitation in the challenge ya NEMIS, like I've said, this particular issue was being addressed. Lakini currently, they must try and ensure wana variable atembare inside the name so that you are able to the next capitation. So it's important that he does that, and if he has a problem, he can reach out very quickly, even manually, to the ministry. Egere have assisted. Points and spirits, it is true that the Ministry of Interior is working towards ensuring close to the schools. It is so we are working with them to ensure either the licenses was moved. But they are working on it. We have made that request that we don't want wines and spirits or bars near the schools. The Kitutu Chache TVET, I actually talked about it. It is one of the TVETs that needs to be completed. It has not been completed. Take care of what happened. Ever alikuwa acha a TVET with a specific amount. Bakameokore variation. Kama kore variation, TVET sigaetani chibwena toko wakanwa. And remember now tena kere institution ikwa wache mentane Kenya Kisi National Polytechnic. Now Kisi National Polytechnic teko sababese kose akane unless a body ya Kisi National Polytechnic verifying variation ya correct ne legitimate and ya correct. So last week the current principal and the board actually went to Kiamwasi or checking what has happened. They are supposed to meet next week. Pamanya to report back confirm that variation for the payment to be done. The money is actually there. Payment until those processes are done, because it was a variation, it is out of the figures. Even okay, KMTC timpu at data, your information this falls under the Ministry of Health, but I can find out what is happening, and maybe through you guys I can let you have that information. Pass over what happened to it and all that. One of the in the 44 instead of 66. These are the ones I was saying. If that is the position yet, let him go back to the portal. I indicate why they think they should be paying that. That is like an appeal.
Oh, yes.
So we look at it and correct it for him if we find that the case is deserving. To go change. KSC result slip. And then the county director of education or the sub-county director of education, that issue will be followed up and they will get the result slip because when it cover detained at all. NHIF and SHA. You know the current SHA, students are beneficiaries of the parents or the guardians. So guardians say when they register a student beneficiary, so automatically over covered based on the principal, the anchor person or the principal of the parents. So they just need to confirm parents registered. In fact, last year when we were dealing with SHA, early this year, we did issue a circular to parents to register and make sure all your beneficiaries on it. So the father rights and all that. If there are any challenges, we just raise this issue, then we'll deal with it at higher level. But otherwise, under SHA, all the relatives or your children are registered under you as beneficiaries, and you still get the treatment because there are no special different hospitals for students and for the public. It's the same thing. So it works the same way.
ase ekera ndochiriria chakire gochenchiga bono goika tochi twayiririe gukura omurobiri ochideka tugwate chinke sana nimete Brian anchete siasa sana agukembete sana akuburia magana two time na one time kore ndenche egendo nagocha kuburi ndoche is one obeire ondikire inbox yana koranga igari asisumbugete biragerere sana nga diga unit kisi campus September last year paid fees only to be told there will be no classes and no directive was given. I tried to request for a refund, of which many attempts failed. Every office I went to, they always turned me left, right, and center, and that's how I lost my 50,000. I've never healed from this. Kisi was one of the campus I never expected I could get such kind of a treatment.
Hardship Mandera balimu na banafunzi bali bakosoma
hardship ngaki
ani yalima akatebanga bana bali bakosoma chinsemo bunachiria kuruga ekaro moko capitation ose moko va fund which chinsemo buneri ko consider mole nandu bakurwa guchia.
Okay.
Ono
confirm abalimu ba yes balimu aba bali ba contract.
Okay, I'll deal with those confirmation of teachers.
Yes.
So first one, Kisi campus paid 50, no classes. That is a strange thing. No classes, how? So this is a special case that needs to be dealt with. Gekoru, maybe again the university or VC. I can book an appointment for it because it's not possible if you are paid fees. But classes did not go on, or he was not allowed to attend classes. Yes.
Kisi main campus, what happened? Kisi campus for those students who applied for certificate and diploma courses.
Oh, so you need. I have no data on that. They just need to go there and find out. Now, I'll ask the VC to address this if they can come through you so that it is sorted out. Because once you pay, if there are no classes and for sure you did not attend, I'm sure that the refund can be done. Hardship. The way we do capitation is not based from Asukuru. We do capitation as Sukuru. We just use the numbers as Sukuru. And whether you are in Northeastern or in Kisi, if you are in secondary, capitation is 22,000. On your call primary is 1,500. On your call JSS is 15,000. There's no hardship is dealt with separately in other spaces, like for teachers and all that. On confirmation, one of the reasons why CUPET went on strike last year when I came is because they had 46,000 teachers, but I get the cover confirmed. Confirmed January, wakampiga pressure sana abgati inbox yani gaichora sana. they visited me quite a bit, but they were eventually confirmed. So confirmation is based on availability of budget. So I will need to go to TSC and find out the budget nero yo confirm balibale in the contracts that are coming to the end. But what I think is going to happen is that the budget will be looked for. Yeah.
Chinga kindo chimbora ya chire sana na boigo ntotetio turu kidogo ine wekraboni gali ogendere sana sorongo rwagusiye Kenya ingimara kila mahali kwani gabange kusige bate banga it's a new term for mheshimiwa former interior CS Fred Matiang'i ine mheshimiwa wakili Migos Ogamba ayensa idikito kwa nyanyar porwa se ngombe yewe nka yobere tamanya are you one term new term ama namna gani
Brian?
Yes sir.
Tukubudiri swali kuronge.
Support
Ngagora ambolinga which side inde korucha said. I've told you from before that serikali today is doing development for us. You would be mad to say okay ndasa ngao utiga sekolek as serikali. So to ask me that question is actually not courteous. Yeah. I think what you should be asking me
public demand.
What you should be asking me is how we are going to do development in Kisii for the next 7 years in the Ruto administration. And let me tell you, I've also been a politician. To win elections is not easy. Last time I was running Moskoli Olenge, my predecessor, I was his DG. We didn't win. We lost here. And by the way, in the cabinet, we were running Koba governor na deputy governor tayo. Mheshimiwa Ruto akaranga kutuamnya kama ono twaso etitiga atubeke in cabinet oyo makora 2.5 oyo ndakora 2.5 so that at least muntu test again because mtu alikuwa run Kobaga ni kwa area yake na kwa hiyo mimi nasema asante sana. I am very very thankful and grateful for that position. Number two, I'm coming to it. Number two, ekaratu alao karachukura 2022. We were underrated. That will not win. That the Ruto will not win. In fact, we suffered here. No ndege land, it could not land. Helicopter, we suffered. But we still won. What I'm saying, etora Europa 2032, ingoro no utarengo. Ngoro. Tindo jone. Ande varengo bonsi to deal now the way we dealt with them that time. We'll deal with them the same way. I have no doubt. That's why kwenye kubatenga tikatwe bange toso ase serikali ime tonyora magenderero paka 2032. Dino tanga muntu totema oteme no ini tuntu ateme. You will in, but it is no guaranteed. So is guaranteed ngakindaruo. I can't. Anonde paka mwisho. And I'll do everything possible in Kisii and Nyamira to make sure that we get the right numbers for our team. We will work day and night. We katore tamagender to borok. For example, I have told you we are going to employ another 24,000 teachers. Some of them will be from Kisii, to Aletire University, to Aletire na upgrade rechi school, na Aletire TVET. Chipara nkoro suchiru mukubwa nkoro sheri chipara. Ama chingo chari. Fertilizer nja aletwa, rono igenda garana kore nero we reduced fertilizer, there is food now on the table. We are doing ICT hubs. Abana waitumbacho wanya the 70,000 shillings from each constituency, about 100 young people. What are you going to tell us? Tutara kora, ilo denga nanga muaruo nchinkore. Nki, kero. There's nothing. So by 2027, I will ask you, abantu itabakusi, utumakiria matem. Utengaki, abana bachire grade 10. Abana ngosoma bare school. Twakulira mangane funding model. Shango korere gas. Chiparan chiror. amachinaror. You know, you cannot win with slogans. Slogans are easy. You go to a funeral, you talk slogans. You find the people on the road, you talk slogans. Lakini the actual work, unebono tokora. Kogenda paka alia sibaje zikorosu. Kusabe tokonye infrastructure. Toroselia match. It is hard work. We negotiate to do this. So it is not enough. Nenda bantu amindaba kusi. Egento kiachire kusiga igantinta nyakora. Nyekere funeral rere abantu ba mobilize. Yani ugocha funeral n'ekigundi cyo wakara jinko. Mweba mangana mwatiga ebirero mwarenge mwachakorerisia abantu bakwereire mwanza okora ebintu bitari korrekana mwogerera abandi ngotakwana oyakwane ayankora tuleki panga mpango yenu ya siasa mwairoro funeral kwakira abantu mwabune ebirugo mwakora. That is disrespect. Nakignate everything koronga ki mtuama kusina abantu twarenga bangai inki kiatoroga tugoche goikase ebirero mwamanya konyora bono ebintu by'okwanu ororo mbikora thiki mbisaid naende kwanyanga nawe na ebintu by'okwanu yokwanu abakabaro abantu abanene tusigite ananga bagoteba ikintu kibwenete okorunga gaiga nebirero to respect a family. Inu mwacha muri politicians, you are not hurt mwete bororo bonde wens mwakora ebintu bita ikendiki wikagistop wikamutiga manganayo umuntu tigoche rero umuntu oliosirete baya abantu bamino pole kwana mangana moro okenda lakini siasa giko ikali geti kero angreti siasa ono kwana mangana muno korete muno tagite sabaji kuracha chao torole gosengo korore singo bure
kero ko raiga asengo bwati sagini kan siasa tole 2.5 obo amate bwao na your predecessor.
Obvia we have a very good relationship. Mwaka ore is a person I respect. We work, you know, Nimo Segetekara is a senior. No Montore straightforward. He did his job for the time that he did. Asukiwa, Kaegwa, Nanjinabwatiro, Nanjinkola, Senguikera, Sengote Sukia, Nsuke. Because it has ye, Teliamo. Your colleagues, for the time, Kwayari, you serve at the pleasure of the president. 1, you don't know why he appointed you. 2, you don't know where he has removed you. Maybe you are not able to do your work. You can't know. So to blame mundo ndinga kinga nkosinaro sere tuwo yonde taka akai wikere ni ndukyo manyan wono nakorangiri nkoege ndukyo ngikiane no ma ko inisis dinga no kware ko vera pako kole kwen. So life we just accepting you've served your part. You will not be here. No one kero ketore muna mata abane kya bagusi baba usimbere nga babero rombaro bono kero munda ko bero ukora. So you appreciate that and you be thankful for koegwa a chance you go serve abakenya njekera litokera nkuboka ngweboli rero ebintu ngochokora ngokonya bira abana be school ekarango etangwenda go school no boli chintara bajanga boli muruchi chibasi nchire kigenda tukwira abana school chiko etachire abana mbale school bas yona akorire gas egento kuchandika ngeri na wono okonyora abana maybe just strike jincha sumbwete chane kyara ekero koiro mwana school obero emyaka kianda. It is the whole community okora ekosaba. So I didn't want that to happen. And ngiri libageli gotebya baiboli ndatugocha kuigora on Monday nechinterewa chigocha kubugori abana kamuranche mugendi gali ngora muiri chigali ngora mubwate fuata sheria egara abana baike school safely because these are our future. This is why we wake up. Ekaro konyora abana bali monde naboro kwenda school kwarra buna very passionate about their dreams. Batagitiko grow. Bachakoba abantu. You cannot make wrong decisions. And you talk about to me una politics. Naro dire kera abantu bako endaga ali osine radio station. Ayo denga education trio karagas. Education ya kule. Omontor mwae. Oyiro mwana ya school. Omo drop omo kwende TV station otebang education ya kule. Kotigo mwana school. Nkirendu kwa mwana school. Kwale kumutiga bereka. Watanga education ya salika. So tutagete abantu baitumo tokonyane asa makosa ali na moto de makosa nara tuarekebisha. Unaona CBA kara tuarotanga maths te ebe optional abantu bataya gatumike maths hesabu bali bakora STEM bakore pure maths abandi bakore maths ire essential maths ire applied. So kero muntu atware nini kidogo ya maths atware knowledge kidogo yechisabu. We listen And once we listen, we course correct so that we can have a perfect system for ourselves. So twalwanchira na yanga tubwatira namo tungusiriamo kara tungusiriamo una leaders na bantu beto bonse etoko make more impact. Kuma eteba tanga no nenkoli string yam ekubutoka bwango kubwa string ireng isato karamu bwatira nete you have more energy, you have more power ne karamu sabe gendo mo tegera lakini kara tuatana ne tora masa gucha tuwaka chisabu chitali boronge etukui unaona bantu baminto mboboli ose Raila tu ari kurwana como diri elections bona ero chiri twasoire broad based igotara uchige ndonga ngikire ga broad based ase serikali itu tumayo tenga bono karuna ende ga ase serikali mihenda sanga ganye myake ri kunyawoche emyake ine chiki emyake ine chakore chiki gigoika abantu beito balwara to kimbaro paro to what that is all lakini bono iga tutam.
Thank you, Waziri. Mangana kugule unatira mangana tuta kugule unatira mangana mu busiko bono because of the interest of time of Gachi station chichiko yali kan koleta mangana maye Waziri, thank you so much teko kwa 1 minute yo for your parting shot much asinga kwa ekolire ko tuwanjina ntoko bente ke moyo for your parting shot
no job biamono mukate red best asoko university go chaga ika kukwana n'abantu baminto enchenko basabanga tubwaterane abantu baminto tobeamo naende kinde buna bono ninche nde minisa yoka kurukisi mumbwatisie egara tubwaterane kurukisi anyamira egara kurugusi egara tubwaterane nari tugutwara chinguru none karamo gontuma nkotebanga natumitu n'abantu bonse egara twanyora ebintu biri tugusaba byachire igo tubwa kugenda mutua ase myaka yetigarete tupime naende tusome history tupime naende tokore tusome history into basi konyora nga twabikire chikadi chito ase chitamere maite nabo kuruta chibando bune Biblia goteba onyore kwa yerutita asamagena bandite kokaraki tekwama omurigiriri ngaki nkaye bande turabike koreki yame naende nchendo chase bande turabike yame kera yorokiri naende ntogenda tukorokio buya bwa serikali ntogenda tukorokio buya bwa Dr. William Ruto nchendo tinga no tukubeka chibando chito ekiara twarorero buya bakoretheki boro no chiramere abwo chimutwe komuntu ndaraje gutokanga nero rosirie mugondoye na batora chikorigiro chimutwe lakini ochaiga 2032 na batore paka 2027. Asanteni sana nyasaba sisi.
We really appreciate your time sir. Na wewe gochinga kina nendo koligi ni metara ile ya tumjoki kidogo but asante sana Waziri. Thank you so much for gochia so mulira sukare chinga cha muliro Kisi TV. I really appreciate on behalf of Kisi TV. Asante sana. Wego on behalf of team yon spia leta mangana ya igaba koragwa no producer tukura sense ya Kisi TV. Brian Mtonga na wego na Isaiah Maove. Thank you so much. Inchenkoro kwa Brian sagini sana incho na bene karango mwarelio minto mkate enoka gogote gochia so gochia you have a good night na wego torga ni chinga kichinda. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Biamono Waziri, biamono mwensia sogwancha. Watie masemo inkwane gabna yange na Waziri, kurwa gabna tukwaniri. Amaswali no na mangarenge, lakini nawe ni ntu nebiro byabayerera, ntu no byatwerreho. Chile dichon CP chialenge awetani sana esato chumugusi, tunashukuru kwa sababu twabwaterana amo. Bitaseni bionsi BHTV biamana singencho twabwaterana. Kwa niaba ya aba producer bane Balen Kurugabo, Havira Kariri, Wilfred Matundra, Nara Harun Ototo, na Waigo Yokurkunganera Obed Mukwa, who is my managing director, Chim Katenok, Wagungankurukonga, bread based, one very recruited. MNCP, Mandakoli Magati, Mokobeka, Botkovia, and Kionelitko.
Asenseme ibono mwancho muliria keroto gukoro murubiro bange batebire baria barenge na barabuonko irali bagiriria bene kuyoneria bitaseni biko bwatiambia mona soko bwatrana Kisi Hot TV kurawa nemo director wa Hot TV kaka Rogers kaka Sungura na boigo ne timu ya yengi ma babo Ali na boigo yokurkonga nere Dennis Nyabuto aka Kurkuntu boigo ntwarenge na baralia kurwa segetaseni kyoyo minto television asensemo yende ntwarenge na baria bavuna radio narora oyo minto akoroka nga Dr. Nyagaka timatisa arusi obo Dr. obo kolende ntuche kubuliria boigo naere Brian Nyachina arenga sensemeye Gesa FM jawa represented iga boigo Kiss FM nara MC Dudus na boigo nara Bande nara Hillary Kennedy Bwanyona korwa Egesa FM People Daily yaba represented na Robert Ochorondo che abantu banda bange bogo korwa sigita senigeta ya television timu ngima yaragwa na Joseph Mose head of production bogo konywa na Methusela Omwagi na boigo Cyrus Omweri na sense me wono notoko romoroberio bwenkwana yabene nkwana twarenge gukwana na nero waziri gwitsemi me Kenya akorokuanga Julius no professor timets na rus kole no karambwango lirache timeto saba okiringa wali professor Julius Migos Ogamba twabere tukwana na ende ninde no kugena waziri nto tukutwara chinkwana bune kera chinga kielinde twasemya bagusiba ito nabo igo twabatebya na kubarokeria ase abwanete gucyanche nigo nkorwa Job Ongaga yukara chinga kichinde gendera kuligereria ebitaseni ebi bwanchete asoro ngoro